Welcome, guys, to the Wednesday night live stream. How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome, Steve. Welcome, Dradicate. Welcome, Nato. Nine Stick Nate. Welcome, guys. A little bit of the pre-chat hangout, so hopefully you guys are having a great Wednesday afternoon. Just one sec here, finish getting everything shut down and started. And yeah, I was talking to a couple other reefers, hey Kyle, earlier about just kind of debating what to do today, and one of them was asking about stuff about aquascaping, so I got the music. Let me know if it's too loud. I can't actually hear how loud it's outputting. I'm still learning this whole mixer, but yeah, it's kind of fun. So I figured aquascaping would be kind of a good topic, and I know it's something when I started my reef, it was something I obsessed over for quite a while actually. Exclusive Reef, what's going on, buddy? So yeah, I actually had my rock before I had my tank. So I think I bought it Black Friday, like a couple years ago, and it was literally took up my whole office floor for about a month as I kept tweaking it every day until I was finally happy with it. So yeah, it was pretty good. Reefing with O, what's going on? Eric B, welcome. I'll drop a hangout link a bit early if anyone wants to come on and hang out on the live chat. Welcome, guys. Being quiet around here. Just a quick heads up now. Yes, I'm going to be MIA for about 2 weeks, late November, to go to Mexico and get hitched. So I'll probably try and pre-record a couple of videos if I can, but the live streams, I'm not sure yet what we're going to do with that, but I guess we'll see once it gets closer. How are you, Craig Smith? So yeah, today, aquascaping, that was kind of one of the big ones.
Reefing with O?
I heard Reefing with O.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
Not too much. How are you?
Good.
Excellent. Chris Roast, Ozzy Dan, welcome, guys.
Dev, I missed that. ReefDudes. What are you gonna do the 2 weeks you're out?
I'm still debating. We'll chat later, but yeah, no, I'm still debating what I should do with that. Thanks, Steve. Did I use any branches? No, I didn't use any branch. I'm assuming you're meaning Tonga branches. No, I didn't in my tank. I am, however, debating doing a second tank later on. We are looking at potentially buying the house next year. So when I do that, I might do an office tank. Thanks, exclusive. So yeah, so I will be in Mexico from November 21st to December 6th, I think. So there's 2 potential weeks I'm going to be away. So we'll see what's going to happen there. I may have someone else run the live stream, may just skip it. I don't know. Still on the fence. Mr. Reefing with O, we will chat later. NPS tank, that would be pretty cool. So for you guys that don't know, NPS, non-photosynthetic. So I think what I do though, I think an office tank would be really cool. And I also kind of want to have like more of a test tank where I can mess around and experiment more, where I'm not really messing and worrying about my main tank. So that's one kind of debation, but we'll see what happens. So as for aquascaping, before I jump into some photos and stuff, how was your aquascape? Did you throw it together? Did you work on it for a while?
I tried, but it was really evolved. Yeah, I would say I put a lot of work into it initially. I think one of the mistakes I made initially is I try to bring over some old rock from the other tank. So there is sort of like a timeline where you're rushing to get stuff in the tank. So I think I kind of rushed it a little bit. I tried, I rushed it. But then what's happened is really over time, over the last year and a half, the tank's been out. I've been taking a lot of rocks out.
Okay.
Because I realized that I started with like 3 columns, then I went to 2. Then I went to, I eventually cut half each column. Yeah, I've gone with less and less rock. So I probably started with, I looked at my BRS purchase. I started with 60 or 70, let's say 70 pounds of Pocani.
Yep.
I put most of it in the tank. And I think now I looked at my fire escape the other day, and I think I have probably half of the 60 pounds. So,
okay.
Yeah. But the next tank, though, I should have done what CJ did. I think what CJ did was the right thing to do, where he started from scratch,
Yep.
sold everything from the old tank, so there was no timeline, no timeline to say, oh, I got to do this over the next 2 days because things, he sold everything, so he took his time and built it and done it right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'd follow that for my next tank, whenever that is.
Yep. Hey, Woody. So on mine, you can, in the background right now, I can only see half of it, but there's one structure right behind the chat window, and there's another structure to the right of that. And those two were out of my previous tank. And then where the hippo tank is now all the way over was all new rock that I added. So I did use kind of a mix of the two tanks. That was partially because I already had a bunch of coral in it, and I didn't really want to lose that. Now, Woody is just asking in the comments, I believe it was Woody that's asked, about how I glued and attached my rock with everything. I did actually start, so I used Marco rocks on my tank, and was going to try and drill it and use rods. However, that wasn't really working out quite as well for me. That was just eating through drill bits, and, I think I cracked one rock and a few things, and it was just being a huge pain. So I did kind of use cement to glue a bunch of it. Let me just mute it. So I found an old video that I posted like a year or two ago on YouTube. And so I did use glue, but I only glued I tried to never glue more than 2 rocks. So if you look at this right here, I got these 2 rocks are cemented together. I got this rock and this rock are cemented together. I also took on the bottom, I tried to use like a reef-based cement. If you're in Canada, I think it was Fiji-crete that I used. I know there's a bunch of other ones. They have those new kind of little gel beads you can put in hot water and mold what looks kind of neat. And you can reuse them, which is pretty cool. Now, the other thing, for some of the stuff, I also made little feet. So if you can see on the bottom of the rock, I used like a little gob of the cement stuff to make little feet. So I had flat spots, so I didn't have to worry about pressure points on the glass or worry about it teetering over. So it kind of helped stabilize it. So that was another little trick that kind of helped on that one. Same thing over here. So I got the big rock on the bottom, this one glued. That one and that one's glued. The one in the middle is kind of like a keystone. It's just pressure fit in. Hot glue didn't work great. Oh, that's good to know, Sean. I don't know. I've never thought about hot gluing. I didn't think it would hold, but I guess if it's just keeping them locked together, it does the job.
For my nano tank, what I did is I took a drill holes right in, and then put glue and those acrylic tubes that you use to make the dosing containers.
Yep.
Like you can stick those in and then use that to kind of make overhangs. So I used that when I was doing the aquascape for the nano to make some overhangs. I did that. I don't know how. I'm pretty sure you can get stronger acrylic for like bigger aquascapes, heavier rock. But that's one trick I learned.
You can use the solid acrylic rods work well. You said you had Pucani, which worked well. That stuff's easier to drill, so that stuff actually helps. I tried the Marco rock. The stuff was solid. Like it was nasty to try and drill through it.
That's how I ended up with a lot of rocks. So in the past, I've always used the BRS Reef Saver, and because it's so dense and heavy. So when I the only time I've ever kind of touched Pucani was when it was wet.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize how much rock I was getting when I was ordering 70 pounds of Pucani. Yes. So that's a thing. Like if you're going from, Reef Saver or something dense to, let's say, Pucani, like Pucani occupies a lot of space. It's a very kind of airy, it's not a dense rock, so you get a lot of it. You have to cure it. That was not fun, but you do have to cure it. But I do like Pucani.
Yeah. So Exclusive's asking, what's your opinion on cutting sections of egg crate for under the rock? I see a lot of people do it. I didn't because to me, it just seizes spots for like detritus and different things that collect on the bottom of the tank because it's really hard to get it through there. Same thing if fish are in there. It's going to be harder for snails and stuff to go in each individual square. So I never did it. What I did do, if you can kind of see on the back of the rock here, I made little kind of feet for the bottom of the rock so it had a flat spot to do on. And if I didn't do it on the rock, I literally just took a hammer and smashed the little hot spots off so it was flatter and wasn't just a point on the glass. So that's kind of what I did to remediate the pressure points on the glass.
So I did egg crate, but I cut enough egg crate to cover I cut enough egg crate to like just lay on the bottom of the tank fully. So I cut egg crate so it's all the way across. Then the rocks are on the egg crate. The rocks aren't touching the glass. and then the sand. Once I had the aquascape set up, then I put the sand. The sand covers the egg crate. But I figured if I had any, in a tank before, I had kind of an avalanche, and I was worried that with me, I've always had deep sand bed tanks, 4, 5, 6 inches sand beds. And I was worried this time going with half to a 1 inch sand bed that, if there was ever any avalanches, it would fall down and probably crack the tank. So I wanted egg crate to kind of mitigate that, spread it out a little bit. So I can't, even though I have animals that move the sand around a lot, it's never showed. So I think it's fine. But I didn't cut it in sections. It's just the entire piece, exactly to the dimensions of the tank. And I just put it in, and it's all across the bottom.
Okay. So do you worry about any buildup of detritus or different things building up inside of that egg crate down below?
I don't.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't want. You know what? I probably don't clean my sand bed as much as I should. But I have those sea cucumbers that turn it over a lot. Okay. And then I have urchins. So every morning I get up, I can tell there's pellets. You can tell where the sea cucumbers eat through the sand and they deposit. It passes out the end as waste, and the sand is in pelletized form. And then over the course of the day, the winds
the winds of the sea cucumbers,
the flow kind of evens it out. But I don't worry. Probably once or twice a year, I will go in and take a little section and run my hand through it and clean up the sand bed. But for the most part, I don't worry about it too much. I think I have enough animals that turn it over.
If you have a lot of sand sifters and stuff that actually eat through it, you're probably safe there.
Yeah. So, a lot of copepods. I have the 5 or 6 cucumbers. I also have the I don't have anything. I have the wrasses that dig into it and pick at it all day. So I'm not worried about the sand too much.
And for the most part, I mean, any issues that people do theoretically happen from sand is long term, like a few years down the road. So if you ever were worried, I mean, you can always just clean a small chunk of it every few months, and then.
Yeah, that's what I do. Just put your hand in and just run my hands through it. Yes, but I do small sections at a time. I figure if anything's under there, it'll get released in small chunks at a time.
Okay, no, that's good to hear. Another tip, if you guys are doing the cement route, you can see kind of on here, I just use stuff to balance the rock. One of the big things for me, I don't like seeing the stack rock look. I always like just to look like it flow. So I keep playing with rocks until it fits naturally together. If you got to break a little chunk off, break it off. But then on this, I created a ledge pedestal. I just bounced that on a little switch thing or whatever, I let the piece in the back until the cement dried. Big tip on that, if you do not touch it once you glue it. I literally think I did one glue joint and left it for 12 hours or more until I did the next joint. It took me a few days to cement up my chunks. But if you touch it too early, it won't cure properly. It might break that joint, and then it's a very weak joint, and it could be trouble. Or if you set it and you don't touch it, then it will cure and be a very strong joint. So that can make a big difference.
I have a question for you, ReefDudes. Have you ever heard of the reef welder? I'm a fan of 915 Mang. I watch his videos, and the last couple of videos, he's used something called reef welder, where I think it's this plastic bond where you get some hot water, you kind of knead the stuff together, and it's it's like plastic, and and it glues, and then as it cools, it hardens. Have you ever heard of it or used it?
I've heard of it. It looks actually like a really cool product. It came out after I did mine. Otherwise, I probably would have tried it. Hey, Clevie. But it does look really cool. And you can reuse it, which is nice if you ever want to change things.
Yeah, so I have some stuff that I need to. I've been going in the last couple of days and removing some death.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of that huge Monty Pora I told you about that I wanted to kind of put other corals on. I broke it. So I was looking for something to glue it that's not going to look. I don't think super glue is enough to glue it. But I don't like using the reef, the epoxy stick, the thing that you need. It comes in purple and white. it really causes my skimmer to go crazy. I really don't like using it. So I was wondering if anybody has
Kyle,
any experience with the Reef Welder. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna order some and try
okay.
it.
Kyle said he's going to try it on his tank too. So whoever uses it first, give us an update.
All right.
But
All right.
it does look like a very cool product, and I really like the fact that you can reuse it if you change things later.
Hey, I have one. I see Exclusive Reef in the chat. I have one message for him. So I know in last week's chat, or a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Marine Pure. So I had some Marine Pure hidden in like some secret section of my sump. So Exclusive Reef, he's not too far from where I live. So I have some Marine Pure balls. I know he was looking for like something to like seed his tank, to get his tank, because he had trouble starting his cycle. So I have Marine Pure balls that's been seeded for the 1.5 years in a mature tank. So you have my email address. So hit me up if you're interested. Otherwise, the next week or so, I'm going to throw them out. So maybe,
There you go, Exclusive. Get that tank seeded.
Yeah. Oh, that's also something. I had that hidden in a hidden compartment in my sump. And I thought they would have been like dirty and filled with detritus. They were in like no, but they were they were good and nice and clean, and
nice.
So
was it the balls or the plates?
It was a ball. I'm going to use the plate. I got a couple of recommendations that having them in the kind of overflow section, the section that first goes into the sump, probably is a bad idea. They would get clogged and dirty over time. But I took them out today, clean.
Nice. Mine are in the same section actually, and I took them out and moved them under my frag rack.
Yeah.
I gave them just a quick shake in a bucket of water. I was doing a water change, but
yeah, I didn't even. Oh, he said he got a piece of rock last week. Okay, so
perfect.
Fine.
Excellent.
All right. So, I think you know what? I think I'll keep them there. I'll keep a few pieces just in case I need to ever spring up like a quarantine tank or anything. I think I'll keep them I won't put them back in the same section, but I'll keep a few, maybe 10 or so, because I had about 25. I don't know why I had that many, but I'll keep about 10 just in case I ever need to quarantine or, do like a tank transfer. I always have bacteria ready.
No, that's a great way to do it. Quick thing. So Exclusive Reef is saying the Reef Welder stuff. He says it stands out. It doesn't look as pretty, but it does stick very well. You need to be super fast, and you need to heat the water way more than you would expect, or it will freeze super fast once it touches water.
They do have purple, so I wonder. I'm looking at it on Marine Depot now, so I know 915 Mang uses the white, but they do have the purple version that looks like coralline algae. So that's the one I'm looking at.
To be honest,
I don't know.
Okay. On that note, though, I mean, any cement or epoxy or any of that's not going to look good. But you just got to know that it's either going to be grown over with coral after a few months or coralline algae. So it will blend in. It's not going to look pretty for the first 4 or 5 months until your tank's fully flourished. But yes, that's going to be a problem, I think, with most of them.
Yeah. Right now I have no coralline algae because I added 2 urchins and they went to town on it. So they're not looking, the rocks aren't looking white, but they do look pretty clean.
Nice. So a couple other things they're mentioning too in the thing, like having less points on your sand bed is going to less detritus buildup, which is always kind of a great point to consider, is not having tons of stuff on there. Mine's kind of hit or miss depending on where it is. The other kind of one, no, I'm just kind of pausing this video as I go, but is to make sure that if you are going to glue your rock, don't glue everything together, or else you're never going to be able to move it again. It's going to be too heavy. It's going to be in there for life. You know, imagine trying to do this, 60-pound rock out of your tank. It's going to be a nightmare. So, like when I did mine, I tried to make sure I only glued maximum 2 pieces together. That way it's still movable, or if you move your tank or something else, you're actually be able to get it out and do something useful with it. So something to keep in mind. And still, like for this, making little mini overhangs and pedestals, like the cement work great for that type of stuff. What else we got in there? I haven't actually looked at this video in a long time. Now, a couple other cool ones I was looking at. I just sat there on Google Images for probably 20 minutes before the stream, just trying to look for ones that caught my eye. One of the things you were talking about was same thing, using like marine pier and other types of that media in the sump. And what that does is kind of makes up for having less rock in the reef tank. Hey, what's going on, Austin? So if you have less rock in your tank, you can create more negative space, which is, you know, in like rule of thirds and photography and that type of stuff, it's more visually appealing than just having like the wall of rock. Like, if I mean, any structure you have that's covered in coral is going to look pretty. You got nice and bright colors, but at the same time, having that negative space and the coral space and the rock space and having those different areas goes kind of a long way of getting like a really neat look and something to draw your eyes in more into the tank.
I think when I was new to the hobby, you know, one of the things I kept looking at like a mature tank. Like if I was looking at your tank now, I would always look at it and say, why can't my tank look like that? And no matter what you're doing, you're like, my tank doesn't look like that, not realizing that it takes time. It takes time to mature. So what I think I did early on is just put a bunch of rock in it to just make the tank look full.
Yeah.
And I think that's why over time I always end up removing rock because you know, you have so much rock. Once a coral grows, it's coming out of the water already. Like my Montipora was not even that big, and then, you know, 5 months later, it's already. So over time, I see Mike Paletta does that a lot when I watch his videos on American Reef Channel. Yeah. He's constantly removing rock. Once his corals grow a certain size, he makes these. He does his rock in a way where they're plated, so they're like big plates stacked on top of each other. So it's easy with a rod in between. So it's easy to just remove one of the bottom plates and just you know keep lowering the rock.
Yeah. So I mean, like Mike's tank looks beautiful, but I mean to an extent it is yeah, it's fairly full one. It is more of the rock wall type of thing. But once you have enough corals, I mean, to an extent, it doesn't matter because you don't see it. But at the same time, that's still your rock work. And for the first year or two, until you have all those colonies, your rock work is part of your artscape. And to me, it kind of creates, like, I love seeing caves and overhangs and swim-throughs for fish and all that type of stuff. I find it a lot more interesting. If I see a tank full of nice corals, I'm like, ooh, I look at the colors. But if I see like a nice rock scape, then I'll literally like my eyes will follow the rock and look in the crevices and go around it. So it's kind of a different way of drawing you into the tank.
It is dark areas, light areas, places for the fish to hide. Yeah, I agree with you.
So I think one thing that a lot of people don't necessarily do or consider is like the use of negative space. So what else we got in here for photos?
Something that I do think about Rockscape is that you scaping your rocks is just a blank canvas. I think it is more on placement, coloration, pruning your corals back to make the tank look the way you want it to look.
Yep. Oh, now on that is one thing that I was kind of considering now. Like, so on my tank, I have the big arch on the left-hand side, then a smaller arch, and then there's kind of a space and a structure and a space and another structure. Hell, and even like after my big arch, it goes down the second hump. Some of the corals are starting to get taller and taller, and I'm thinking that today. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to trim those eventually, because it'll look funny if it's taller than the big structure. So you know all those kind of things where it's like your bonsai tree in a way. You gotta keep it trimmed in order to flow with those lines or that aesthetic look you're kind of going for. Totally like artwork.
To me, I kind of look at my reef tank as a painting. That my scape is just my background of what I want to transform into different colors.
The corals like the paint of colors.
So what I think is once your tank is pretty much grown out, your scape doesn't even matter anymore, except for like flow and stuff, because you're pretty much all your coral is going to be all over the place. You know, it's going to be growing whatever which way it wants. So I mean, you have to prune it back to have openings. You're going to have to prune it back to keep space open.
One thing that I do actually oddly kind of appreciate a bit, like a lot of these ones I've noticed when I was clicking through photos, is like the negative space where like you have a structure and then some blank space and then another structure. So it kind of breaks it up rather than just hit the wall of it.
To me, that just looks so fake. I mean, when you're pretty much looking at a reef, you don't see that at all.
You do though, because I mean, not the whole ground isn't connected. Like it's chunks of rock and islands and. on and off. So I don't know. To me, it looks more natural than just the straight wall of rock. I guess it depends what you're going for, but when I find ones like this with like tons of coral and there's like a little bit of a gap, some negative space and more coral, to me that draws me in. I mean, everyone's taste is different, right? Like this is just what looks at me, but I sat there for 20 minutes at my lunch break and I went through and just saved a few photos that drawed my attention. I'm just trying to notice little trends in them as I was looking through them. So, where's that other one? Like this is kind of cool too. Like this one.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, they have so many different like overhangs. Like I've noticed I love overhangs. Having that thing, like even look at the minimal points on the sand bed, tons of caves and overhangs, still tons of rooms of coral.
And then because the background because it's lighted, it looks like even the light has an effect on it. Not the one you're looking at now, but the previous one, where the way it looks with the light, it looks like it's just ongoing, like someone is swimming, and that's like you're swimming out into like the unknown sort of. If you watch Finding Dory, that's like the edge of the reef where you just swim and it's dark. It really looks like that. Like the light is shining on the foreground, which you focus on, but then behind it looks like it goes on forever. It doesn't look like it's a tank that's ends back there.
No, so true. The other thing too that I've noticed now, because my tank's 20 inches wide or deep, however you want to say it, and now I really like looking at the end of my tank where I'm seeing that 5.5 feet of depth. So it's now it makes me think if I do another tank, like it'd be nice to have more and more depth, so you can have more structures close and far and give you that more depth of field, I guess, in a way, and make it look like it's deeper and deeper and deeper. Like you can play a lot, do with different levels too, which I've really starting to appreciate now. So I don't know, so many little different things to consider, but it definitely is an art form. Like it really, really is. Like before I got into saltwater tanks, I used to be all over like the planted tanks, and same thing with all the rocks and like the little grassy fields and stuff. So now I'm trying to translate as much as I can over to corals and stuff.
CJ is not the scape master, by the way.
But I agree with him that says it takes practice. Like I'm not an artistic person. Like I am a mechanical person that needs to follow steps. So Aquascape is never going to be my and like I said, I think it's, something that you practice. Like you're never going to get it the first time. Like keep doing it. That's why like I said, if I had to do it again, I would not have like a timetable where I have rock that needs to get into a tank. So I had one day to get it right. If you're looking dry rock and you have a chance to put it down, go back, look at it, maybe look at it from a different angle and keep trying, it'll be there's a huge thread, I think, on Reef Central or Reef to Reef that says that's a huge aquascaping thread that's been going on for years. And a
couple of the photos I pulled from there.
I thought I was mimicking like one of those aquascapes, and then I went back and looked, and I was like, no, I wasn't even close.
Yeah. So what Al was just saying, well said about learning from Planted Scapes. It is true. If you look at the planted tanks, they're crazy about aquascaping, like crazy about it. There's all kinds of wild, and they go way more hardcore into it. Or reef tanks, I feel, is a bit more lacking on the scaping front. So I mean, I've done a bunch of planted tanks, so that probably didn't hurt before I bridged into reef tanks. Let's hit the music again. There we go. So it is kind of one of those interesting bits, but I feel like it makes a huge difference on a tank. I'm not gonna lie, I do cringe a little bit when I just see just the straight up pile of rocks. I'm like, no, do something cool with it. But yeah, like this was one off Reef Builder site that I grabbed, but I just love how there's so many overhangs and stuff. The other type of thing you got to consider too for corals, you want to make sure you're kind of tiered structures, right? Like it's good to have overhangs, but you want to make sure it tiers down in layers. That way your corals aren't getting shaded.
Well, most of these scapes without coral on them, most people would say that looks dumb.
Maybe.
Or they will say that looks very fake.
Probably. This one probably, yeah.
But as I said, that when you do a scape, it's kind of like a unfinished picture, or it's kind of like a canvas that was just given to you that you made, and now it's your ideas that's going to make it look awesome or beautiful.
One thing, I mean, aside from the first one too, is making sure that like coral placements to an extent is knowing, getting an idea of if it's going to table, if it's going to go up, how it's going to grow, and kind of take that in consideration when you're placing it. Make sure it's not going to shade, or be prepared to bonsai, trim your coral below it to make sure it's not going to shade the next one. Now, the other big kind of thing that I know not a lot consider too is the color placement. I haven't dove ton into this. My fiance is more a lot more artsy than I, and she goes crazy into like the color theories of stuff and like complementing colors and stuff. So if you really want to go crazy, I mean, you could almost plan out your corals based on complementing colors beside each other to make stuff pop more. Which I haven't gone quite that deep. I'm like, oh, this look pretty here, but
yeah, I'm too impulse buy to like even plan that far. I go somewhere like, ooh, new. And the next day, like, ooh, new. And then you realize, like, oh, those don't do well together.
Yeah, mine's more just like which color am I missing in this area? Oh, this has too much green. Let's add a red. Okay, let's add a pink coral. So those are a few different kind of things, at least that I try and consider with it. But yeah, for me, it's basically colors. I'm like, ooh, that's a bright color. That's a nice color. This one's really cool. I'd like to try relating something like this one day, where they have like a giant overhang and like a huge swim under, which is kind of a neat, different look.
Yeah, I think I saw one of the videos that Jake did when he was in Australia. Jake at Reef Builders. Yep. There was a guy that had really nice. I don't think he had anything but like a scolding on the sand bed, and it was all like Tonga branch and rock, the entire tank. Very few areas were touching the sand bed, and it was, and he put corals on like, everywhere, and it was growing well. But it was just interesting that he had maybe one or two places. Everything was like a network of branches, almost like a tree. But because it was a mature tank and corals were growing everywhere, it looked nice.
Okay, so sorry. Fourth is for the coral color. Okay. So CJ's theory was saying divide the tank into fourths and even colors in all four squares. I can't wait those there. So Al was just asking about how to brace rock. So on my tank, for just some of my smaller over tanks, I cemented the rocks together. I used some like a reef safe cement. And some of these, so I would just try and glue maximum of 2 rocks together and use those to kind of create my little overhangs and ledges. Like this is just a little tiny one, but quick example right there. I just made like a little foot pedestal and let that kind of naturally overhang. For doing more crazy stuff like this, I believe in this one they used acrylic and created a shelf on the top, and they had bracing going down, or they probably did like a C shape of acrylic. That way you can have sand and it'll be like kind of like a cantilever design, kind of like. And then you can kind of flat cut the bottom of your rock, and they laid the rock on top of the acrylic and let stuff grow over it. I believe that's how they did this one. We were going to try it in a buddy's tank, but he ended up aquascaping it before we got around to that. So that is one way. Another common way for doing overhangs is to drill a hole through a rock. So you have like a bigger, heavy rock below and like more of your shelf or whatever you want on top. And you drill a hole and use either acrylic or fiberglass rods. And you can use those rods to lock the rocks together. Just gotta make sure it's thick enough to take whatever stress is teetering or pulling it out. Those are kind of 2 common ways of doing it to create overhangs and cantilevers, that type of stuff. Yeah, so Eric B is saying his with acrylic rods. Corals back. Yep.
I had dropped out for a second. Cleve Torres is asking how much rock can be added at one time without ill effects.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it depends on the type of rock. Like Pokani, some types of rock, like I think the Reef Saver and stuff, comes pretty clean. But if it's like something like Pokani that needs to be cured, I wouldn't add any of that to the tank without curing it at all.
Yeah, say Pukani, definitely. I would not add that on its own. But yeah, like Marco Rock or some of like the manufactured rocks, I wouldn't worry about it at all. I just add them right in. It's only stuff that has organics or sponges or dead stuff on it where you'd want to make sure you cure it outside of your tank because it's going to add a ton of nutrients. Then you're going to have an algae issue. But you have rock that's super like, white, clean, or the real reef rock, which is like manufactured rock, then there's not going to be anything on it to break down, so it won't be as much of an issue.
Yeah, I cured my Pokani for 2 months, and it stunk, believe me. Like, I put it in the tub and just kind of washed it, soaked it, swished it around, blasted water on it,
And even after, like, I'm sitting there for hours and hours and picking dead sponges, dead animals, dead everything outside of the rock. But even then, once I put it in the water, in salt water to cure, oh man, it stunk.
Lovely.
It did stink. So it doesn't. Yeah, Pukani, anything with dead organics. Oh, yeah. I
So Kyle was asking recommendations for manufactured rock for a brand new tank. So 66 gallon, 33 sump. I'm a big fan of the Marco rock. I know I can send you a couple links later. There's a couple places in Canada that sell it. There's also the Bucani, but I know you're in a condo, so that might be more of a pain to try curing and dealing with it. So I'd probably go with one that was already good. There is.
I cured mine in an apartment. I got one of those big. You could cure it in, let's say, a brute 20-gallon trash can container. Keep it covered and run carbon. Definitely run carbon. Like the first probably week or 2 weeks is going to be the worst.
Yeah,
it's going to be the worst. It's going to stink. And if you want to do water changes to mitigate that, you can. But after about 2 weeks, run some carbon and it should die down.
If you did it again, would you still use Bucani or would you use something else?
I would probably. I've seen so many nice tanks. I've been like paying attention to freshwater tanks, and the way they do scape is cool. So I think the most creative is with the Tonga branch. I think it would be. I think I would do Tonga branch, to be honest.
Would you?
Tonga branch and maybe some Pukani, but it would probably be mostly Tonga branch.
To me, Tonga branch just scaped up. Does not look real. So I would think you'd probably have to wait until your corals grow for your tank to actually look like a real tank. But that's just my opinion, guys.
I do agree to a little bit.
honest.
I looked at Tonga a few times, but I did see it not looking as legit. So yeah, I do agree a little bit. I have seen some nice Tonga scapes, but a lot of them do look not natural. But I have seen a few that look awesome, but only a few. So I think you got to be really picky.
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, though, I'm not overly concerned with having my reef look natural. I want it to look good to me. So yeah, I understand narcosis that it doesn't look natural, and that's cool. I'm okay. I can accept that. I want it to look good and creative to me because I'm the one that's looking at it. I mean, probably like someone like you who's dived and probably know that, hey, that's not natural, or other reefers will come over, but I think I'm the one that's looking at the tank the most, and I'm okay with it not looking natural. Just good enough for me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's your escape, right? It's whatever you like, whatever you're enjoying. So
keep doing what you do.
It's doing what you be doing. What's going on, CJ? What is going on, Mr. CJ? How are you?
CJ, I'm looking at your green wrasse, and of all the wrasses I added, that's the one that didn't make it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So
okay, quick question for CJ.
Go ahead.
So I just have it focused on your tank. Pukani, what are your thoughts now that you've had it for a while? Would you use it again?
The Pukani?
Yeah.
I tell you, I don't know yet.
Undecided?
I don't know. What I do know is that I would definitely cured it outside the tank. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
2 months, man. 2 months it took me to cure mine in a bucket. 2 months.
Ideally, I think I would have built the scape dryless like I did, so I didn't have to rush, and then cured the finished scape somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like fit both of these structures into some kind of brute can or something.
Yeah. But I agree with that strategy. I kind of did that. Not that I was curing mine, but I try to pre-cycle it. Where I pre-built in that YouTube video I was playing earlier, I pre-built most of it, and then I took it apart and put it in a brute can and basically threw in some bacteria and let it hang out for a couple months before mainly because I didn't have the tank yet and I was just trying to pre-cycle it so I can get the fish and corals quicker.
Yeah. Well, you do it that way. It's a 50-50 chance you get it back exactly the way you had it.
Yeah, exactly. It probably changed since that video, but I got the rough idea was there.
Oh yeah. I guess the whole goal would be to avoid curing more rock than you need or not enough. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you build your structure first.
Yeah. You can always, I mean, I would just, it's always good to get more rock than you need. It gives you more options.
So your Pukani, do you think that you didn't cure it good enough the first time?
I never cured it outside the tank. I did it all in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have done it. I would have done it outside the tank with more water changes to help export more from the rock. That's what I would have done different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, CJ, you cured the Pukani in the tank, man.
Well, hell, technically at this point, it's been curing for 6 months. I want to say that.
Oh man,
At least you got,
I did nothing. I did water changes I think every 2 weeks or every week at the beginning, every 2 weeks,
mm-hmm.
and and it still was like, yeah. I don't know if I never realized that you didn't do any curing at all before you put it in the tank.
Went straight from aquascaping, rinsed it off with a water hose, and threw it right in the tank. Started it up.
Well, with yours, didn't you fill that tank up at first with tap water to begin with? So you didn't test the tank with tap water to see if it leaks at all?
Yeah, I did that, but I didn't fill it up with
the rock in it.
No, not with the rock in it. And after I test filled it, the tank actually completely dried out before I filled it up again. So,
I pre-filled mine with tap, but same thing. I drained it and loosely dried it, and then started my day or two fill of RO water. That was a long haul. I see you got the powder blue in there now, CJ.
Yeah, I'm actually getting ready to catch him.
Oh, how come?
And put him in the sump because I'm getting ready to add a couple more tanks.
Couple more? Well, I shouldn't say anything. I got a smaller tank than you, and I have more tanks than you. So
yeah, I just want a yellow eye and a yellow tang probably.
Nice.
A yellow eye cold tang and a yellow tang, or a purple tang and a Tamini tang. One or the other. One of those two combinations. I'm only putting 2 of them in here though.
Yeah. So are you gonna put them in the sump for a few days and let the other ones get established, then put them back in?
Yep.
Prevent turf
I
wars.
figured that was the best. I figured that's the best plan. It still may work. It may not work. But we'll see.
Yeah.
That powder blue's gonna be an asshole, but he's beautiful though, man. I mean, he's
yeah, beautiful fish.
He's doing well.
No, that's awesome. I absolutely love my new one. I'm happy that they're not scrapping with yellow tang anymore. That mirror trick actually really made a big difference.
Yeah, it did. I put that's how I caught that hawkfish that was giving me issues, and it ended up the fish trap caught every fish. Every fish went in the fish trap. So when
the mirror.
Yeah, I put a mirror in the fish trap, and every fish went in. Left it in for a couple of days. We left it in for a couple of days. I fed, because I drilled holes in the fish trap, and I used like a turkey baster to squirt the food. So I fed in the fish trap a couple of days. And when I did catch the hawkfish, every fish was in the fish trap. I had to, it was kind of a pain to like get every fish out and isolate him to get him out of the fish trap. But everybody went in the fish trap.
Never heard of anyone putting the mirror inside the fish trap. That's next level. That's next level right there.
Her up.
So now I'm even more confident that when I'm ready, when these tangs get big in a couple of months and I need to get them out, it'll be no issues. NASA, as soon as I put it in, the yellow tag immediately went in and started flashing and banging against the mirror because he thought it was another tang. All the fish did it. The flame angel and the coral beauty, they were the most aggressive going at that mirror. I think they hurt them. So they probably hurt themselves going up against the mirror, like banging the mirror.
Let me ask you guys this. So would it be better to remove the powder blue and try the other fish in here, or just leave them in there and just put a bunch of mirrors all over the tank?
How long has he been in there?
Shit, 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Well, something that I did notice about the mirror trick when I tried it is that all my fish just got ick. Every one of them.
From the mirror?
From them trying to
being stressed out,
fight the mirror and stressing themselves out.
How long did you leave the mirror up for?
Not even a whole day.
Okay, I put mine on in the afternoon. I think I took it off the next day, and I mean the yellow tang was pissed. Like he was tail smacking that glass like till he went to bed probably. But after that, I think I took it off in the middle of the night and the next day, and there was just the odd little thing, and it pretty much just toned down after that. But the first day, he was constantly after the new fish. But day 2, it didn't seem an issue. But day 1, he was not a happy camper.
Keep you guys posted on that.
Sounds good.
Situation if it works or not.
This isn't something that I would necessarily do in my tank, but lots of people say if you change your scape a bit, that will change it up, because then they don't necessarily have their cave they're used to. But I mean, I'm not changing my scape. So
yeah, that's worked. I've done that in other tanks, but this one I'm not willing to do that in this tank. But yeah, I think that works, because when you change up the scape, like everybody starts to reestablish, like fish that were not fighting or chasing each other start doing it again, because everyone has to reestablish territory. But I think CJ moving him to the sump a couple of days, giving the other fish time to settle in, but also not getting a small fish. Like the powder blue is pretty big, so getting a fish that's close in size as possible to him. I know he's going to get bigger than if you had a cold tank. Like a cold tank stays small, but I think getting a fish that is not a baby, that can probably hold its own, at least initially, should help kind of mitigate some of that aggression. But that fish is pretty though, man. I'm looking at him. That's a nice fish.
Beautiful fish. Al's also mentioning acclimation box. Hey, reefers. I actually haven't used one, but I know Michael loves them, and a bunch of other people I've seen use them with pretty good success. If you have like that big acrylic box to let them see each other, where they can actually touch each other, leave them in there for a day or two before you release them to the tank.
So my acclimation box, I use it as an acclimation box / fish trap. It is a fish trap, but I just drill holes. Like I just took the same thing you use to punch holes, the stepper drill. You used to punch holes in, like when you're making dosing containers. Yeah. I just drilled holes in it for all over it, so it serves as an acclimation box. Nice. Yeah. I'm trying to find a photo of me using the acclimation box. I think I have one. When I caught that, but it's an acclimation. It does work, because I've seen fish that fight. I've released fish into the tank initially first, and after fighting, putting the established fish in the acclimation box so you can see the other fish kind of get settled. Yeah, that works.
Lets them get used to each other.
That works. Yeah, because even if fish are fighting each other and they're going to fight to the death, they will try to fight each other through the acclimation box. So at least you'll see if there's going to be any potential issues. You'll be able to see that, because if fish are really pissed at each other and try to get at each other, they'll try it through the acclimation box.
Something that I do recommend is that when you have a happy fish, let your happy fish be happy, and try to work around him already being happy. Putting him in the sump and doing anything extra to him, I think is just going to stress him out, and he's going to be thinking about how pissed off he is and get problems. Really nice fish to lose or to mess with. Be honest, that's just the way I feel.
Yep, depends, but yeah, basically, I know I've said this a few different times, but stress, in my opinion, is the biggest things that cause ick and other issues in fish, right? So you always want to avoid it whenever possible.
Oh, yeah.
And so actually, just threw this one up. So this is a picture of one of my buddy's tanks. And it's a bow front, which is actually kind of cool, but it gives the tank a lot of depth. When you look through the front of it, that curve, it makes it look super, super deep. And he has... let's go back to it. And so he has tons of caves and different things there, which I was actually kind of surprised. We moved the tank and you couldn't see anything in the tank. This scape was almost done blind and it turned out amazingly well. But yeah, tons of overhang, tons of things. But I mean, same thing, like kind of what we were mentioning earlier, like you almost lose the definition when all the coral grows in. And it's just like a sea of corals. I mean, to an extent, you almost have to trim it to a bit to keep all that definition back. But yeah, this one was actually amazed just how well it worked out for most part, scaping it blind.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a really, really nice tank.
Then where's my other buddy's one? So this is my other buddy Brad's. This is his tank. This is my last video that I did for my Monday's video was over at his place. We put the feed light in, but yeah, this one actually worked out good. The same thing. I think he scaped this one for the most part. We couldn't see. But
got a full house, guys. We got 43 people watching, guys.
all right.
Pretty much everybody, make sure you hit your thumbs up to show your support for ReefDudes and his Wednesday stream, guys. Come on, guys. Thumbs up.
Always appreciated. Thank you. Thanks everybody for hitting that thumbs up and that like. If you like it, like it.
I just put a quick video
thanks,
in the
Mark.
chat of that acclimation box.
Okay.
I had it fish. That's with that hawkfish that was giving me a lot of issues. So that's when I caught him, and he. So yeah, so it's just an acclimation box, and I drilled holes in it.
Okay.
And I use it like an old Tunzi magnet and just attach it. That's how I attach it to the glass. And then I just put a mirror in one end.
Yep.
And that's what I use as a fish trap.
The mirror attracts them, brings them into the box.
Yep, the fish trap and feeding. I don't try to catch anyone the first day or two. Just feed.
Yep. Just trick them into thinking it's safe.
Yeah. I think. Wait. So you know what? I also thought about something because the fact that I have to kind of restock the tank with corals. I was thinking something. I was just looking at the tank you said your buddy had a while ago. I think going forward, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with less corals per se and try to grow them into bigger colonies.
Nice.
And maybe not have, I've seen some tanks, a couple of tanks that have big, mature, huge colonies, and I think, I don't know. I think I like that. I'm gonna go with that versus having just a ton of coral and just having a mature that's like fully stocked. I think I'm gonna, keep less species but try to grow them into big fat.
The funny thing with that now, what I've started to do is I've started to almost downsize my corals. Well, yes, no, I'll still get new ones, but I almost feel like my tank is too full and cluttered to an extent. So I'm trying to get less corals on the sand bed. So I've been slowly trying to get rid of some of the sand bed stuff. And then on the other side of it, I've been trying to be more picky, or I'll, sell off some of my least favorite corals in exchange to more bright colored, crazy ones. But so I've noticed now that my tank is full, like it's just pickier and pickier. And then I'm trying to get a little more negative space, so just trying to pick the ones that are either A, too big and trim them down and, sell a few frags, or B, if it's something that's just kind of like a meh, it's nice, but I don't care about it as much, then it's something I'll try and sell off. So it's kind of one of the things I've been slowly going through now.
Yeah, but my mushrooms have started. It was funny with the alkalinity drop, calcium spike. You thought that would kill mushrooms. Nope.
Mushrooms are survivors. They will survive a nuclear winter.
Mushrooms do not use calcium or alkalinity. I don't think. Very little.
They don't use something because they've exploded. When everything else has been looking dry, they've exploded again. And it's time to go in with a knife and dig those suckers out again.
So
you can always hit them with fluconazole.
On the flip side, though, I have a jawbreaker that is having babies.
Nice.
Like the babies are still tiny, but I guess because mushrooms do well in my tank, I was correct to assume that jawbreakers, which are discosomas, will also do well. So
nice job.
That sounds very bright and colorful.
Yeah, so they're still all on the same frag plug. So when the mother kind of, shrivels up at night, you see a bunch of, babies underneath.
Nice.
So that's good.
Excellent.
Sounds like it's almost time to send one my way.
I know, eh? What was I going to say on that? Oh, so on the mushroom front, when I had my very first reef tank, I had one little single of those green bluey mushrooms that I had on my rock, and that same rock's transferred from, my 3 or 4 tanks now. And now there's tons of mushrooms all over this one area. So there's enough corals around it that still kind of semi-contains it, but I'm going to try and take out some of them soon. So it's been on my to-do list for like 2 months to go get like a needle or something. I'm going to try and inject them with some kalkwasser or something. See if I can kill them.
The discosoma mushrooms, I've tried, man. What's your secret to getting them out? Because I've tried everything, and if you leave one little piece, they grow back.
If you can get it all, I've taken a scalpel and tried to cut the rock underneath it. And assuming you get it all off, you can get them off. But if you leave any little bit, you're 100% correct, a new one will grow there. So I got rid of the big ones, but there's still tons of babies in that same area. So that's why I'm going to try the needle and inject with some kalkwasser one of these days. A little bit of reef.
Are you guys just trying to get them out to sell them, or are you just trying to get them to go away?
Get them to go away.
Yeah, go away. I've sold a bunch. Now it's
they're so
eradicate.
big. They're covering my. I give them away. I mean, if anyone, I know Exclusive is close by. So if Exclusive is looking for mushrooms, I'll we can talk.
Got the hook
But
up.
if they're like they're covering like a Duncan colony basically now. So I want my Duncan colony to grow. Yeah.
So on that note, a quick tip, anyone, there's a bunch of those like mushrooms that can take over, GSP that can take over. What's the
hit them with
Xenia. Yeah, I'm gonna try injecting with Kalkwasser.
Just shoot it right in their mouth.
Yeah. So a bunch of those type of ones, if you like them, try and keep them on an island and not your main rock structure. Pro tip for future.
Exclusive is asking, OG's Fish Room, ReefDudes is asking, how many gallons do you have? And do you plan on going bigger?
Not at the moment. It's probably, I'm going to guess, somewhere between 130, 140 is kind of my rough guess. I haven't fully calculated out my sump. That's kind of my blind guess. The display is a little over 100. Cruz, super chat. Thanks, buddy. Muddy kind.
Cruz in the house, guys. Cruz in the house.
Cruz is a good guy. Muddy appreciated, buddy.
Exclusive also has a question. Does anyone know what's the model of CJ's nano tank power head? That is the Jabo SW2. I actually have that same power head in my son's 14-gallon nano. So that's the Jabo SW2.
Excellent.
And
there you go.
Another question from Exclusive. Oh, Exclusive asking the question. Anyone buy Jason Fox corals? I personally don't. I think they're a lot of money. But I've seen some Zoas, and back, I was considering, but I think I can't see paying that much for those corals. No, I can't. Those are expensive. But no. I've seen those same corals everywhere. Not everywhere. I've seen those same corals somewhere else for less money.
Quarter the price. If you do want fancy corals, we do have Mr. Elegance Coral on the line as well. So Cruz from Elegance Corals, thank you for the super chat, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have seen yes, like some grafted Monty caps. I'm seeing unique corals, which is I consider kind of on the high end side of prices, selling it cheaper than Jason Fox. So I don't have anything against Jason Fox, and maybe when my tank, I'm looking for that one signature piece to top it off. I might, but yeah, I mean.
So something that I do is I buy Cornbread's corals, and I also buy corals from buddies and friends, and I just color them up.
Yeah.
If your tank is doing good, you're gonna take a brown, crappy coral, and you're gonna turn it into something that's looking awesome.
On that note, it amazes me the difference that corals can look from tank to tank. Like I've got a few different corals from my tank, to like a buddy's tank, just different lighting, different parameters, and it is crazy the difference that it can change. So every tank.
Cruz can. One last thing, I think, and then I think Cruz can answer this better than any of us.
Yes.
But Fan from Tidal Gardens did this is not about coloring up corals, but just how corals look under different light. Like Fan from Tidal Gardens, I don't remember when, did a video and just showed how the color of a coral just looks different under like different like T5 lights and then LEDs. Like he did it under Coral Plus, Blue Plus, Actinics different, and how the color was different. But Cruz, I heard you answering.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all about how do you say it? The type of coral or the coloration underneath.
Can you turn them up a little?
Lighting.
ReefDudes?
It's going to turn all of you guys up, but we'll see.
Okay. I mean, it's not all about, whether or not it's one coral, the same coral as another coral. Kind of like what you were saying. If you're able to color it up, go ahead and color it up. But you know how long it takes. Do you know what I'm saying? Everybody knows how long it takes to get to the perfect color, perfect shade. Being able to actually do the bonsai of it. Right? Yeah, I mean, you're talking about shape. You're talking about grading coral based on its original shape. A frag, if it's starting to branch, in a very, very nice shape, you kind of want to price that a little bit higher. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not a funky cut. It's not an accidental break. It's actually groomed, to be, to grow in a certain way.
Looks good right off the bat versus putting in
exactly,
6 months.
Fully
6
colored.
months to a year, sometimes 2 years, depends what you got.
Exactly, and that's what you're paying for is that expertise, being able to actually groom it that way. The full-on pull-up extension and also the professional photography, if you might. To get that perfect picture so that you can be proud of it and say, you see this picture here?
That's
exactly the same coral that's growing in my system. And, being able to say, well, a lot of our pieces are what we would call an heirloom. We have the OG Purple Monster. We have a lot of the original colonies, not maricultured colonies that have been in the hobby for a long time. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
It's pest-free. It's a lot more resilient in the reef tank system. It's not wild caught. It's not wild harvested. Because you know what? There are a lot of other ones that, they brought it in. They brought it into the hobby probably about, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And they're nice. Don't get me wrong. They're very, very nice. But the longevity, the lineage, when it burst, and being able to trace it all the way back to who was the original person to bring it into the hobby. I think that's where a lot of the value is added. A lot of people don't truly understand. I mean, there's some people that would gloat and say, hey, you know what, I got a Rolex and I got a freaking certificate to verify and authenticate this.
Yeah.
And that's, we're bringing back a lot of the old school, classic corals that we've had for a long time. These weren't maricultured.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So keeping it alive for 15, 20, 25 years. I mean, how much is that worth to somebody in the hobby? It's not necessarily for the beginner. It's not necessarily for, the 3-year veteran. These are the guys that have been in the hobby for a long time, the collectors. That want to be able to say, you know what, I had one of the originals of the original colorful corals, as opposed to, before 95, we had a lot of pinks and browns, right? There wasn't that many oranges. There weren't that many, like the original Setosa, the red Monicap, Langsai, and other. There was only a very, very limited amount at that time. So I think that's where a lot of the devaluation came in, is because the red Monicap took off. You know what I'm saying? And the price started dropping lower and lower and lower.
Yep.
And then more people started transshipping across, from Indonesia, Polynesia, wherever. And they started bringing in a lot of these other maricultured colonies. And of course, or wild harvested at that time, because there was no limitation.
Yeah.
But now that now that they're starting to limit the amount of collecting, watching overseas, and with the risk of bringing in wild caught colonies or even parasite colonies. I mean, you're talking about maybe 1 in 20 survive. So you're talking about a viability of about 10, about 10%, 5%, 10% survivability, from the wild colonies, especially after treatment.
Yeah.
Is that low? Is it really that low across the board? That's pretty low.
Well, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of commons. And in every common, in every SPS box, there might be maybe 1 in 100, 1 in 200 that is actually rare or really, really worthwhile to actually keep. Everything else is a standard. You'll see a lot of bonsais, bonsai lookalikes. You'll see a lot of tabling acros. That are just a regular purple and green. You don't see a lot of the Walt Disney types. Yeah, it does look different in different lights. But once again, once Mike Bigger made it as famous as it is, all of a sudden everybody else, they're demanding out of the Indonesian collectors, we want the same coral that Mike got.
Yeah.
And most likely, the Walt Disney is just a Walt Disney that can actually stay alive. It's not the prime or premium of the actual Walt Disney coral. That's just probably one that somehow we can keep alive, because no one can match the actual light or flow of the ocean. And once those corals turn to a colony, most likely you're not going to take a colony and stick it in your tank and probably keep it alive. That's very hard to do.
Another note to what Cruz was saying too about some of those corals that have been around, keeping those colonies for 20 plus years. I mean, something said to be about that too. Like those corals are going to be a lot more hardier than something that was pulled out of the ocean, right? It's already a custom line.
It's going to be used to. It's going to be used to reef tank life.
Absolutely, and there's less chance of there's less chance of having pests in that system too, because we do keep an impeccable system, as much as we can humanly possible. And I mean, you're seeing a lot of the maricultured colonies coming in, and a lot of the people don't, that are LLCs or they're trying to bring it in, but they don't know how to truly quarantine it. They don't know how to truly de-pest it, dip it, and all the other stuff that actually takes a lot of time. But yeah, I mean, some of these dips are very, very harsh to wild colonies. They don't like it. They're not used to it, so they RTN, overnight. I mean, they look like they're doing good, and then all of a sudden they RTN, and then you lose the entire colony.
Yep.
That's some of the risks that you would take, and when you're talking about risks, all the way down to 1 in 100 surviving of the more rare ones like the deep waters. I mean, that's where the price starts coming in, is what is the availability and how hard is it to keep alive as soon as you transport it across the ocean. They're out of the water for a long time. Not only that, but they also have pests on them. And you're having to treat it, and then we're not going to sell it to the hobbyists, just freshly dipped either. You know what I'm saying? So it takes time to recolor it up because it's already stressed out. So you're talking about at least 4 to 5 months before any signs of color starts coming out to know whether or not you have a rare.
Yeah.
And his number 1 in 100 is probably maybe like 1 in like 2,000 that actually survive a month.
Yeah.
In a reef tank.
It's generous. I know. I was trying to show the probability, because once you start saying 1 in 1,000, 1 in 2,000, all of a sudden people say I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
So, but do you know what I'm saying, Narcosis? And,
oh yeah.
You hit the nail on the head on that one. Is 1 in 1,000, 1 in 2,000 are actually different than anything else in the friggin' hobby.
Yep.
They're collecting from the same location, same spot, because they want to make money overseas. They don't have the same rich life that we have over here in the United States or over there in North America for that matter. So yeah, they're breaking and saying, oh yeah, it's rare. They're taking pictures of other stuff, and then when they send it to you, it's all brown. Do you know what I'm saying? How many people have been burned like that? Here we are spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to import stuff in. I mean, who's willing to take that risk? The hobbyists? No. Does that make sense? I mean, when you're seeing how much money is actually put out there on the table to know maybe you might have a chance
of getting a gem.
To get a gem.
It makes sense, especially too. I mean, especially when you get some that pop up these crazy colors. I mean, it's very limited, so I mean, they can demand the high price, right? Because there's not much of it.
Exactly, and with the whole Jason Fox thing, and I understand Oral. Sometimes the price seems a little bit high, but then he's also collecting his own. I don't think any of us are buying his plane ticket. Nobody's sending him to scuba school, to look for corals. Nobody's, paying for, the trip out on the local boat, to actually go dive and hold the corals. And out of those corals, how many of them actually survived the trip back?
I hear you. I think this, when I would do Jason Fox is when you need that one signature piece. And you can't. I don't think. I think. I don't think. I would. I can't afford to stock my tank with Jason Fox stuff. But as you were talking, Cruz, I was browsing his site, and there might be when you just want one piece to just let the tank stand out. And you might spend to get that one showpiece. I think that's probably where I would put. That crazy money in to get that one showpiece. That's like.
Oh, absolutely. Like the home wrecker. The home wrecker is one of the prettiest corals I've seen. The way that he's colored it up, the way that he's actually, matured it, it's very, very nice. There's also a couple of other ones,
Oh yeah, that's gonna wreck that price is gonna wreck my home. Yep.
Well, I mean, there's also the jaw dropper.
Oh yeah, that's gonna destroy my home. Jeez.
So the jaw dropper, I mean, you're talking about blue polyps on a friggin' exquisite background. I mean, it's also a deep water Lacani type. Once again, the viability of a lot of the reef systems are
water aquas.
Wait, the home wreckers are sold out. This stuff,
there's a waiting list.
Even the $1,000 piece is sold out.
Very, very, very slow growing acro.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go.
That's what I'm saying is,
for the rest, minute.
To have a very beautiful tank, you don't need $1,000 pieces.
I think
and I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying that some pieces are worth that kind of money because there's nothing else out there.
Yep.
For instance, the elegant corals Valentina. It's like a jaw dropper, but instead of having blue polyps, it has pink. You know what I'm saying? And those are the only two color morphs that we have in the hobby right now. And I don't see anybody else in any other part of the world. And I'm in part of a lot of the other forums, over there in the UK, over there in Ibiza, Spain, over there in Brazil, and no one has ever seen, a jaw dropper except over here in the States. And I think that we've become a little bit too spoiled in having the best of the best. Do you know what I'm saying, Oral? We have the best lighting. We have access to the best lighting.
The only one thing too that I sometimes wonder is because, like, some of them do look absolutely amazing, but if you put it in your tank, it has different parameters, has different lighting. I mean, you don't know what it's going to end up looking like. It could be the same. It could completely change colors. Like,
it really depends on water chemistry, and the due diligence is for the hobbyist to actually ask the collector or the grower, what are the water parameters? What is your ICP?
Flow.
What is your ICP?
Oh, man. Wait, it's funny that Jake Adams just dropped a tour of Jason Fox corals like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, he's got like 1,400 gallons or something. Jason Fox.
Oh, absolutely, and I know that the elegant corals has been waiting for their for our piece as well. It's a very, very sought after coral. I mean, if we could, the Valentina, as happy as it is, underneath halides and everything else.
No,
I just posted a video in the chat, and that was a tidal garden video. So after after the stream is finished, we should. That's a good video to check out where Fan kind of goes through and sees how the same coral can look different under different lighting.
Yep.
But it's not just the look, Oral, and you have to really understand this. Anybody that's listening is that we all have different what we call growth lighting. Remember, we have a little bit bigger of a facility. So yeah, we utilize halides, we utilize T5s, and we also utilize LEDs, all in the same tank.
Yep.
But when we take a picture, I mean, if you notice, Julian has been taking a lot of pictures underneath 12K lighting, so that when people look at it underneath white light, that's what it's going to look like. But when you actually shine the blues, the halides actually allow the coral to produce photoprotected pigmentation. It's what we call PPP, which is basically the sunblock for them.
The UV sunblock,
actually pop. Yeah. And the corals pop underneath the blue light because of all that white liquid underneath the membrane. So when you say it looks different in different lighting, absolutely, you're 100% correct. But the growth lighting and the coloration lighting, some of it's blended, some of it's we turn on one over the other, depending on the stage of growth. And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand that we utilize different lightings at different points in time for the actual growth and coloration of the corals.
Yeah.
Sometimes we blend both.
Well, it makes sense.
And so, I mean, and when people say, "Oh, well, you misrepresented it because you took it underneath blue light," well, I mean, how else? How else do corals they look at it under blue light, right?
You need a bit of blue to make the colors really shine. I mean, that's
exactly
like my tanks.
I mean, depending on. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, even my lights. I mean, they're more blue than white, just because I love that color pop. And like I whiten my tank to 10 and 12K whenever I take photos or videos, but the rest of the time it's a little higher in the spectrum, just because I just love the colors of it.
I like white light. I don't know. I like my tank on the white side, but I do understand that, so towards when it's starting up and towards the evening, like now when I'm relaxing, actinics. But for the most part, I do like. I like my tank on the whiter side.
Yeah.
Oops, hold on. Give me a second.
Yeah, no problem.
So something that I strongly believe in is that the flow is what makes the coral grow looking more like natural,
It can definitely influence. I mean, if you had the wall of flow, I've seen tanks where the corals are literally growing in one direction from just laminar flow constantly on them. So, I mean, varying the flow, I think, makes a big difference rather than not just having it and blast in the same position all day.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of gives the coral a bit of a break.
I have a bubble tip anemone that's from the same strain. And these are all babies that's about 6 months old. So I have 4. 3, the mother colony, let's say 3 babies. And they're on the same rock structure, but on different sections of the rock structure. And one is like a really light, they're bubble tip anemones. One is like a rose, like almost like a light rose color full of bubbles. The other one, which is 6 inches apart, has long stringy tentacles and a green middle. And the other one is like a completely different. So, it's the same. I know it's not a coral per se. It's, as an invert, but the same animal. Like, I mean, they're different, but they came from the same mother colony. 6 inches apart from each other and probably getting different flow, different light in those 6. And they're like completely different, different color, different everything. Even the tentacles and everything are different.
Different pattern and everything, huh?
Yeah.
I have a chunk of rainbow Montipora. I mean, mind you, I think they likely came from different sources or different colonies, but one chunk is very in the oranges and reds, and the other chunk's really in the green spectrum. So it's kind of interesting to see. Same thing, like, I mean, the same coral, probably slightly different colonies, but at the same time, just different levels in the tank, just the different colors in it, which is kind of funky.
And the reason I like that fan video is, I understand everyone tanks is better, but he's just showing like the same coral just under different color temperatures. Like it's different. Like it's the same tank. The videos were taken at the same time, but when it's like a actinic versus, I know colors pop more in like blue light actinic, but just the different color temperatures, like it looks like a completely different coral. Same coral, same light, same flow.
Well, yeah, some of that's true, but more than 50% of it is the actual parameters of the tank.
Yeah, but but what I'm saying is he took the videos at the same time, just under different lighting. Like he's the same coral, just under different lighting at the same time in the same tank.
That's actually a good idea, though. I might actually do a video on that just because the radions, they have like, 8, 10, 12. You can pick whatever K you want. Make a little video just to show the difference as you change spectrums.
Yeah. Just take pictures. Just go to 10 to 15 to 11. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. And just show the picture. Just slide them up, slide down.
Or even just video and just live change it because I can do it through the app with the reef link. So yeah,
that's actually
maybe
cool.
I'll do a video on that for Monday.
I might beat you to that. Don't worry, I might beat you to that.
Hey.
Yeah, but that was pretty interesting. I found that interesting. I found that extremely kind of, I'm excited though to I know we've gone off the aquascape topic, but I'm excited to just try T5s to be honest, because in terms of coloring stuff up.
On that note, I don't think I would do just T5s. Honestly, if you were, I would add a T5 or two to your mix and keep the LEDs.
No, I'm gonna do it. It's a mix. It's the hybrid fixture that kind of just allows you to drop the radions in the middle.
You get more. So what I find, you LEDs, you get more color pop. T5s, you get a little bit nicer of a brighter color in the body, but it's not as vibrant. It's kind of different. This isn't 100% comparison, but I have a few buddies with different lightings and we just trade chunks of coral. So I know parameters obviously play a difference. Eventually I'd love to have a tank and put a different light on like each third of it and like fry a coral and see how it changes. Like maybe once I get a second tank, it'll be my experiment tank. But
so in my tank, SPS, the undersides all die. I don't know why. And I have, like I said, I think it's because just a cluster. Like I really think if I had gotten 4 XR15s instead of 2 XR30s, I would have been able to space them across the tank a little bit better. I would have gotten better coverage. But like my SPS corals, like it doesn't even need to be a good colony. Like if I get a single frag, like say of an acropora, if you gave me a 2-inch frag of an acropora that just one branch sticking straight up, if I mounted it like off center, the part that's not facing up would die.
Yep. Yeah.
And I have that issue. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be like anything. Like I have that issue. But like you said, I have friends who have T5 tanks, and I think for coloring up corals, they get away. Yeah, you know what? Let me not even say that because it's not true. But I think the shadowing is what. Plus, I think the shadowing is what I think I'll enjoy.
So, you have less shadowing, right? It's gonna be more
less shadowing. Yeah, more filler. But the LEDs though. So, but you know what I'm also considering. Putting, because I do have my old 360 sitting in a closet somewhere. The 360s do have the best shimmer, and since I'm gonna consider like putting the 360s back on, just to get that extra shimmer, because the shimmer for the radions are not as strong as the Kessels, and I hope they don't get drowned out by the T5s.
That'll be a good question actually. What I am curious to try, I know Ecotex has those diffusers that they're just coming out with. So I'm curious to see how that changes.
Shimmer is going to get drowned out by the T5s?
I think so. For the it doesn't. No. Not even for radions. All right. Nope. All right. I'll take your word for it, Narcosis. I'll roll with you. You have more experience in this area than I do, so I'll take your word for it. I mean, I was just gonna put the T5s in with the radions, and I've already got the bulbs delivered already. Coral Plus.
So something that you're gonna notice with T5s is your corals are gonna grow more fuller. As in, like, you're gonna just start seeing like random branches coming off like your like SBS, and you're gonna like notice that all of your like.
Good. That sounds good so far.
Like pretty much like all your corals are gonna like look like they're like swollen up.
Oh, that's good.
So like they all kind of just get like more like fat or like swollen up, kind of like meatier.
Oh, that's good. Tell me more. You're giving me just more positives.
I mean, I can pretty much kind of like show you in a minute. Like when I get done with this game, I can like show my tank and
oh wait, you're playing a game and doing the stream narcosis
all day long.
You're a multitasker.
You're hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much that's like what I noticed with my T5s is that like all my corals, like even my zoanthids get bigger heads, and they pretty much look like they're like swelling up.
Okay, so here's a question for you guys. So a lot of the newer LEDs are starting to look at more diffusers, which in my opinion bring it closer to the T5 kind of glow or spread. Like I know the AP700, they have the little diffuser discs. I know Ecotech, like on the BRS video, they have their diffuser panels you can put on the lights now, which to me makes it more of like the overall T5 glow. So how do you think that compares to a T5?
I don't think I'm gonna say I don't think it compares. The one thing, so I understand the thing with the diffusers that are gonna do is gonna, I think is gonna affect the hot spotting. But the T5s, the thing that I've seen even with BRS T5s is it runs the length of the tank. So there's this Blankala light that you can't shadow. By the way, that AP700 diffusion panel, I had it. I bought both. Didn't
make a difference.
No, the light was softer because the thing about the Kessels is the shimmer could be overwhelming. So one thing I noticed is that the shadows were a little bit softer. There wasn't necessarily more spread. You got great spread from the AP700. There was more spread, but the light wasn't as harsh. The shimmer was calmed down a little bit, but the light, you didn't get more spread per se.
Okay.
You didn't get more spread. But the thing is, the T5s run the length of the tank, so it's kind of hard to shadow light. It's really hard to shadow. I don't know what the radius. I don't know. I know you're going to try it, but
betcha.
I think the way like you have your tank set up where you don't have, where it's not like me where the 30s aren't clustered together. So you have all your pucks individual where you have the option to like your light is more even and spread. It was saying stop saying spread where your light is more I don't know the word spread even. Yes. Because you have the light sources coming from so many different angles. It's almost like you're using T5, because the thing about T5s is it spans the length of the tank. What do you have with your XR15s? It spans the length of your tank. Where I would probably have, for your tank size, I'd probably have 3 units in 3 zones.
So question. So why don't you trade or sell your 30s and buy 4 XR15s and have like a massive blanket of light?
Because I think at this point, because this T5 unit is cheap,
fair.
I think I'm going to try it, yeah. I think I'm going to try it first, and because to be honest, the thing with the 15s versus the 30, it's just more plugs because the price is the same because it's exactly half.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, so the pricing is not any. It's not like you'd pay more you'd save money by doing it this way. It's exactly half.
That's fair. Narcos, just 1 sec. I just got to throw this out there quickly. So on that note, you're saying more plugs. Just as like a pro tip, what I did, I bought a splitter cable, like the power to like 4 PC splitter. So I only have one power cord going into one port on my Neptune onto the Apex for all 4 of my LED pucks. So I use a splitter cord. I mean, yes, you sell the power bricks, but that way there's only one plug you're actually taking up at the end of the day. I was always changing stuff.
Always changing. Come on, man. It's the same stuff we discussed the other day, Kevin. Don't give me any shtick because of this. It's the same stuff.
I mean, to be honest, like if I had a canopy, I would probably look at a T5 LED blend because you're getting the best of both worlds. But for an open top, I don't know. I lean heavy to the aesthetics of the tank as well. Like exterior.
But I gotta say, this is the last. Yeah, always a changer.
He likes to play with new toys.
Hey, I buy this stuff in the hopes of reselling it, and then I sit there and look at it, and I'm like, oh, let me drop it onto the tank and see how it looks.
And then
yeah. Actually, I have a big sale going on now. I was threatened to get rid of some stuff, so.
It was garage sale.
Yeah, I'm having an eBay sale this week.
Nice. Anything fun?
Some Kessel Refugium lights and a bunch of other stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which
I
one?
got some of the purples. I had put one on the tank.
The little one or the big one?
The big one. I put
Can you drop a link?
I put one on the tank and it burned the Chaeto because I only have about 8-inch clearance.
Mm-hmm.
I had a few, within 2 days, all my Chaeto was white, dead.
Oh no.
Because then I went back and watched BRS's old video and they said, oh, when we had it 15 inches above the tank, we got 1500 par. So imagine when it's like 6 to 8 inches, how much par it was. So yeah.
Al's asking what's your eBay link. I think he was after your goodies.
Hey Al, if you need something, I'm gonna post my email for a minute. You can message me if you're looking for something.
How much do you want for that fancy Kessel Refugium light?
I gotta check because I think both of them I already have them up. I don't want to have a buyer because I just boxed it up today.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta check. It already has bids, so if you're interested, I'm gonna. I gotta check.
All right.
So Al, there's my email address. Just take it down. I'm gonna remove it in like 30 seconds.
Go fast.
All right. So, but you were saying, I'll go ahead, Seymour.
Thanks.
No, I was gonna say. So I did put I got my hands on one of the little ones. That one I did buy. So I'm using the little small Kessel H80.
So the 380 you're not using, or you're selling?
The 380
is too much.
So I'm using the 80.
So, when you were saying that, what do we think about the LEDs with the brand new lenses on them? The way that I've seen BRS test these LEDs is they are testing them with a par meter. Something that I don't think that they can test for is light per square inch or radiation per square inch. I don't think anything can match T5s as far as light per square inch. It's kind of like you putting a cat outfit on a dog. That's still a dog underneath that cat outfit. So I believe that LEDs will never match T5s as far as light per square inch, along with LEDs cannot match metal halides as far as light per square inch, along with par.
You know what? I don't know enough to kind of disagree with you, Narco. Agree or disagree. I am going to say that I think like a max spec light that spans the entire length of the tank, that's going to be producing light that's hard to shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to get that nice shimmer and some of the nice stuff, you need to pack the LEDs together like what Ecotech and what like Kessel does, where the reason you get that nice shimmer from Kessel and the reason why the colors are so blended together by Kessel is because all those LEDs are packed into this small area, like the dense matrix array for Kessel, and then for Ecotech, all the LEDs are packed together. While when you're using like a max spec, there is like separation of the light and the disco ball effect, but you get less shadowing because all the LEDs are spread out across. That Philips LED fixture did look promising because it was going to be like.
It also had a giant diffusion panel on the bottom, right? Which reduces disco, but the only, I guess, for me, it wasn't pretty. It's very industrial. Like if you have a like top, fine, but otherwise, it was big.
I from what I've heard, I don't even remember where I heard it from. I really don't remember where I heard it from, but talking to someone, it might have been on a stream, he said Philips really kind of, I think, please don't quote me on this, Philips, if you're listening, I'm still a fan, but I've heard that maybe they didn't pay attention to, like, the aesthetics per se, like more thought should have been given to the aesthetic. Yeah, I would not put, so, where I am, apartment, and where the fixture, the tank is in. Oh, you guys, I'm relaxing now, but you guys can see my my tank is in my living room. I'll turn the camera on for a sec. The tank is in the living room. Television right here. I mean, everything is off now, and there's a lot of light spillage you're seeing now, but it needs to look good. Like I can't have that big Phillips fixture like hanging there. I mean, Kessels look nice, like the little Kessel goosenecks looks nice here. A single AP 700 look nice,
Yep.
you know, here. When I'm doing the one thing I also like about the T5 fixture is I'm going to bring it very close to the tank, so there's going to be even less light spillage. It's going to be really close. But that's Phillips fixture. Like I'd have no way of like at least letting it look good here.
Yeah, a lot of these lights, at least for me, if you have a canopy, have at her. But if it's you can see it, for me, I like very minimalistic.
Yeah, and in this video that you're looking at, I mean, the light spillage looks awful, but it really isn't that awful.
Yeah.
Like, when you're watching the TV, it's not even distracting. But like I said, one thing I like about the T5 is I'm going to bring it to maybe 6 to 7 inches above the tank, and I'm going to move the radions like more closer to the middle, so there's going to be less light spillage.
Well, your radions will still give you the color pop, and your T5s will be able to filler light from between.
Yeah, I like. Yeah.
Man, you got some fish in there. I can see some pretty big fish in there, boss.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are see. Oh. Yeah, dude.
I can see a few good ones.
That was a good one.
All right, hang on a second. Let me see if I can get. Hang on.
We lost
Come on,
him.
man. All right, cool, man. At least you got shorts on. I was gonna say we don't want to see no boxers or no whitey tighties.
What do we got? A little fuge down there.
So I was doing some work on the refugium today. Yeah. So, oh man, the fish look bigger on video than they do in the tank.
They sure do.
You gotta start watching your tank through the computer more often.
It's amazing. So I have I guess that one swimming across the middle that looks big. That's a one-spot foxface. He's not going anywhere. Then I have a yellow tang. I have a blue tang. Yo, let me tell you something. The tank here now looks like it's overcrowded and overpopulated. It does.
It does look pretty full.
It does.
Whoa.
My tank suddenly feels empty.
Oh, man.
Something that is very good about your tank that I can tell you right now is your fish don't hide. Most people's tanks, their fish go and hide. They go and hide and you never see them. I mean, your fish are like out and about, and that's good.
Yeah, I think I have a single lyre tail. And I've noticed that since I put him in maybe 7-8 months ago, no fish barely hide because he's always out. And I have a lot of wrasses. So once they're out, the other fish feel comfortable and don't hide.
Yeah, that's good.
That is definitely true.
The dither fish.
There's a Kessel at the bottom there. And the Chado reactor chugging along, looking good.
Nice. Still loving your big pack spillum, your fancy reactor.
Yeah, that's my little eBay package. I just boxed up right there. Got to take that to the post office.
Nice.
How do you run your flow at?
What do I run my flow?
Yep.
On this side of the tank, there is a gyre. And on this side of the tank, that's a MP40.
And you're running what? Pulse and bull?
I think the MP40 goes through modes throughout the day, and then I have the Apex alternates. Like this is on for 1 hour, this is on for the other hour. This gets, I don't know if it's because my tank because I run no filter socks, a lot of detritus, but this needs to be cleaned very often. I have two of these, two of the gyres. So what I do is I have one in reserve that I just like,
back up.
That I just, pull it off. And while the other one is soaking and being cleaned, I just put it back on.
Oh yeah, I see.
Nice.
Wait, hang on a second. Oh yeah.
My spare's in a buddy's tank.
Yeah, I was doing maintenance. I was right before I clicked on your stream. I was doing maintenance.
Yeah.
Gluing new pipe, pulling out those bio balls.
Nice.
Bio balls are no good, man.
Nope. There. There. Where'd it go? My spare.
There it is.
My spare gyre is right there in a different tank. It doesn't really help me.
This is my new ATO container.
Oh, that's nice and big.
Yeah, this holds 20 gallons now. The first one of all 10s. So yeah, so now I don't need to top off. Only need to fill the top off container every 2 or 3 weeks.
Something that I heard from Mark Callahan today. I was listening to one of his old streams. I guess you wouldn't say it was a stream. It was like kind of like one of his talks. And he said that after you fill up your container, make sure you always shut off your RODI after it's filled up. So then that way it's not stuck on and able to overflow your float valve in case if something happens to your float valve, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't have that issue because I disconnect everything and break it apart. So I don't have a permanent place for my RODI system. So actually so this at the top of this, it has a float valve. I drilled and put it in and a pressure switch. So because I have to use a booster pump. I live in New York City, 3rd floor. I only get about 25 PSI or something like that. So I use a booster pump. So when I go to bed and put the float switch in, plug it into the float switch, when it gets filled and there's no water coming out, it shuts off the shuts off the booster pump, so no water gets This is my auto feeder you're seeing back here.
Yep.
Hanging on the clip of the tank. That's the controller for the gyre.
You should put that baby in the sump.
And then back here where my thumb is, right?
A Apex auto feeder.
Yeah,
looks like it.
And then right there, that's my not the Tunzi. That's my Neptune Systems ATO.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the orange cable, ReefDudes. I think you have the same. Yeah.
I used a clear one, but yeah, I got the same one.
Yeah.
So, question. Well, not really question. Have you considered putting your auto feeder in the sump?
I saw your video, but I have. But I use a manifold, so it wouldn't get up to the.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Your reactors might get some snacks too.
Send it the wrong place.
Yeah, my Chaeto reactor might get some snacks at
extra nutrients for the Chaeto.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fair. Just checking. So how do you?
I'm still, man. This video makes the tank look like it's teeming with fish, and I'm looking at it like.
It's very white and like overexposed, so I just see like glowing white blobs everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, those fish probably look bigger because they're looking white. Yeah,
they're reflecting. They have an aura around them to add an extra little more girth.
Should I, if I change the color temperature, will it look different?
Don't shock your coral, man. Know what I mean?
Does it look? How does it look? No.
So whenever I put my tank on video, I usually turn it to around 10,000 to 12,000 K, and then I dim down the brightness so it doesn't blow it out.
Yeah, you probably won't be able to do anything on Hangouts, just the way the camera is catching it. Oh, that's a little better, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, a little bit better. Still got lots of fish in there, though. Your fish didn't disappear.
Oh, thanks. All right. Nah.
Do I see do you have a copper band butterfly in there?
Yeah, buddy.
How long you had that thing alive?
Almost 2 years, man.
Nice.
Nobody picked on them, huh?
Nobody picks on him. It took a while to get him to eat. I had to go to Whole Foods and buy live clams to kind of entice him to eat. Mm-hmm. But now he eats frozen. He eats seaweed. He eats frozen.
Oh, so he liked the live clams, huh?
Yeah, you had to entice him to eat live clams, and yeah. At first, he would only eat live clams if you just cut the clam. If you cut it and gave him half the clam half on the half shell, wouldn't touch it. You had to just kind of cut the clam and leave it open, and he would dig into it. Yep, until he slowly, you wean him on everything. So now he's on pretty much anything frozen you put in. Yep. And he also eats seaweed. He doesn't eat pellets, but anything else you put in.
Crazy, because I had a long-nosed butterfly for like a year and a half, and this thing would eat everything. Mm-hmm. Anything that you put in the tank, he would eat. I mean, he wouldn't touch any coral. He wouldn't touch anything. He would eat. He'd eat like starfish and like astrinas and worms and bristleworms. He'd eat like that type of stuff, but he'd eat everything. If you put freaking piece of chip in your tank, he'd eat it. So, gobble it up.
So Christopher's actually asking, I don't understand how food doesn't get built up in your sump from what doesn't get sucked in. So what I did, I have a little tiny Corellia Nano, however you say it, power head in my sump, so it circulates the water in the sump. So any food that doesn't get sucked in right away, that pump keeps it suspended until the pump sucks it in. So there's nothing that settles in the bottom. It all gets sucked in. And over the next, minute or so, it'll just keep spitting out chunks of little tiny pellets, and then the fish go crazy and have a bunch of snacks. I do have a video on it. I'll see if I can find the link for you, but it actually works really well. I've tried about 4 or 5 different things. This is what I finally settled on for my hidden auto feeder mission.
CJ said his powder blue still won't eat pellets. CJ, there's seaweed pellets. Man, I have. Oh man, listen. The amount of food I've had to try, I think I've wasted. You talk about equipment. That's probably what I've wasted the most money on, is fish food. Like I think everything on them. I just went to the fish store. I got so frustrated. I just went to the fish store and bought one of everything, and then went on BRS and bought one of everything they had. I bought the Piscean pellets, and I kept trying until I got something that. So right now in my auto feeder, I have a mix of some seaweed pellets, but I need to get a specific size, and then I have the medium size of the Piscean mysis.
I got those. Pellets. They work pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
The Pisceans are nice. I got those.
Yeah. The Ecotech stuff, I mix in a little bit because I bought it and I don't want to waste it. But only the wrasses and stuff really touch it. So you have to be less on the fish. Like it took like 2 or 3 months worth of fish tank budget to get, so that wasn't cool at all.
One thing that I found, PE, Piscean Energetics mysis shrimp, I feed that to my tank pretty much daily. Like every night they get frozen, and everything eats it. Absolutely everything. I feed it to my corals, my fish, everything. The pellet, same thing. Almost everything will go for it. I even tried the PE flakes, and same thing. I was amazed, actually, because I never feed flakes. So I got a little container of it and tried it. And I was crinkle some, and I put it underwater so it goes everywhere. And every fish, wrasses, even my new little leopard wrasse, everyone will go nibble at it. So
this is where also I think I've heard from a fish research scientist that garlic doesn't do anything health-wise for fish, but this is where garlic comes in well, where it'll entice fish to eat or try certain foods. So that's where if you're having trouble feeding a fish, maybe trying some garlic.
Christopher, wouldn't it have a dead spot? Are you talking about this pump in the sump, or what's your question there, Christopher?
Can you put a link in for me, ReefDudes?
Aren't you in the chat right now because you're asking me?
No, I'm on my phone, man. Come on.
You're like Link as you're in here.
It's
like you're already in.
And here, I got one more Triton bottle. Oh, I went to Target the other day, and they had a whole bunch of the 800 mils glass Voss bottles. I bought all of them.
Nice.
This lady was pissed.
I
need them. I think I bought 15 or 20.
Oh, you did stock up.
Yeah, so because when the Triton thing was off, one of the reasons I didn't know is because I was dosing out of bottles I couldn't see. So now I'm converting everything, all of my liquids, to glass bottles, and I'm keeping some on reserve.
BRS just did a video on DIY dosing containers, and I was looking at the Reef to Reef thread, and one guy was like, I felt so bad spending $4 on water. I had to tell the people in line it was for my fish tank thing. I was like, what the heck? It just made me laugh reading it.
Oh.
He's like, I felt embarrassed spending $4 on a bottle of water.
Yeah. Hey, this stuff is, the bottles, I see people reselling these Voss, especially the 800 mils. Oh, they're on eBay. The first one I bought it on eBay for $9.
What?
Yeah, so people are reselling them on eBay for $9-10 because they're glass, and apparently it's good quality glass, and so people use them as vases and different things.
$15?
So, yeah, dude. So I'm right here now. So
I buy them locally at grocery stores for $4.
Even I found them in Target for $2.
Nice.
It was on sale. But so I'm looking on eBay now. So someone's selling the smaller 375 mil for $16, free shipping, and they sold 2 already. So yeah, these are someone selling a 3-pack for $24.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Free shipping.
Go to your drugstore, chug yourself some carbonated water, and make yourself a nice dosey bottle.
They're hard to find. If you're looking for the Voss glass bottle, they're hard to find. Oh, somebody said Corona bottles and a cork. Yeah,
Nice.
They can be hard to find. The plastic ones, The plastic ones are easier to find, but what I found that I have the plastic ones on the smaller tank. When the liquid gets low, they can tip over easy. So that's why I like the glass ones. The glass ones, because it's and it's a good listen. These Voss, I personally think the glass bottle is worth more than the water in it.
Oh yeah, I agree, and I just think they look classy, right? Like if you scrape off the logo, it's just a nice little cylinder. I mean, you don't want to use it for your.
I showed my wife yours,
yeah,
where you sprayed it red, and she said, "Yeah, it looks better."
Yeah, nice.
But people use them for vases, like because they're tall and slender. If you drill a hole in the top, and like you buy your wife flowers, you can just stick it in, and it won't. It's not a big vase that's gonna take over a lot of space, and it's just a little skinny bottle that when you take off the label, it's just a good bottle, and it's not gonna tip over. Even if it's empty, you put a lot of flowers in it, it's not gonna tip over easy.
Yeah,
that's what I like about that.
That's true, actually. Yeah. I will try making a vase out of one. I do have a small plethora of them.
Yeah. I know. I'm telling you, like, look on eBay. I mean, I don't know, but there is 3 for $24.
That's crazy.
And I bought the first 2 I had. I bought them on eBay for $12, and my wife said, "Oh, you're crazy! Like I see them in Target when they're on sale." Because my wife is the type of person that'll, go around looking for like perfect bargain.
Yeah.
So she's the one that got them for me.
Well, I was going through like dollar stores and everywhere trying to find cool containers. But then I don't know. I ended up seeing those. I'm like, hey, that'd be a nice container. And then it's been great ever since.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always DIYing stuff, so it's just I can't help it. It's on the mind. Everywhere you go, you're just like, what can I build out of this? It's fun though. So, on the actual topic, any more kind of aquascaping stuff that comes to mind that we haven't covered yet? That was the one on the background now, if you're watching the YouTube one. That's actually, I kind of like that one. This is someone else's scape I just found. Most of these are, I don't even know whose they are. I just Google image ReefScapes, Aquascapes, a few things, and went through. But this one looks kind of, lots of overhangs, few points touching the ground. He did the crate what someone was asking about. As you can see, it's like tiered starting at the top and then goes downward. So there's lots of space for corals without necessarily shadowing each other. Dave found the smaller ones, $2 with flavored sparkling water glass. There you go. It's cheap. Cheapest dosing container you're gonna find. Yeah, the one thing with that though, I have realized I do appreciate having breaks between structures and having that bit of negative space. I think it adds to it rather than just a straight up wall.
All right, so when I say like your corals are gonna be like more like fuller from T5s, so like, look at that chalice. Like you see how like fluffy it is.
Where are we looking? Background?
Oh, we're looking at
video.
his.
Okay, let me go back to video. Yes. The biggest thing, I don't know, I would still like to do at one point have a tank and put like, a couple different lighting types on the same tank and just like frag up a coral and see how they all compare to each other.
I'm trying to get my sound up. I don't know what.
I think,
but like,
I think
you see how fluffy that chalice is there?
I see.
It's kind of fluffy. Looks more fluffier in real life.
Yeah.
So that one's kind of fluffy.
And what do you have, T5s in your tank?
Fluffy mushroom in there.
No, honestly, I don't know if it looks any different compared to the ones in my tank. Like, I don't know if it would look fluffier. Like, I'd say they're similar.
Those A-can. This one right here is really fluffy. Let me get this A-can here.
Well, I will tell you what, ReefDudes. A-cans are my boogie coral. So
that one right there.
If I'm able
like
to
how
keep
fluffy those are,
yeah,
then it'll be worth it.
Okay.
And like bigger, like see how big they are.
All right, let me join myself to the chat and go.
The motor chaos. You see how big they are.
So, and now, what kind of light do you have, Narcosis? T5s?
This is a T5 metal highlight.
See, now I have LEDs, and I would say mine look very similar to yours. So this is
is that hot, Narcosis? That's a T5 metal halide. Does it get hot? And you're in you're in Wisconsin. Sorry, I'm always thinking he's in our Arizona.
Okay, here, one sec. I'm going to
Here's
add
here's
my
a
cell
pretty
phone to
big
the chat.
pally. You see how big it is?
Mm-hmm.
That's my hippos right there. Hippo. It's like huge.
So your theory is that T5s
See how
give...
big it is compared to my tangs?
But I don't know how big your tang is.
I can't tell, Narcos. I mean, I see that they're big.
Yeah.
But I see the purple tang lights
The
getting
phone's like
photographed.
dead.
All right. Okay. Yeah, they went. Where's the link? All right. Okay, let me swap to this headset. Oh, back one sec.
All right.
Joining
Hey,
myself.
Alex, how's the tang coming, Alex?
All right. Okay, so.
Hey, Dev,
So
who's CRF?
That's me. Okay, so on that note, I really got to clean the glass. Let me clean off the glass a bit. It's a little dirty. Okay, so on your note, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Go away messages. Okay, so super fluffy acans. So like those guys, super duper fluffy. Same thing, like a lot of my acans are huge, fluffy. I know you're saying like there's my utter chaos, like pretty big, decent sized heads on them all. So I don't know, like I honestly don't know if I can say there's a big difference. I would say SPS to me, some of the branches do seem to grow a bit thicker under T5s than LEDs, but a lot of the other ones, I can't say I've noticed a difference on them. I talk about some of the chalices and stuff, but
And I think I know why that would happen. Like I said, the undersides of the corals die with me.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's because the clusters, it's even though I have 4 spots of light.
Mm-hmm.
How many XR15s do you have?
I have 4 on top.
See, I have 4, you have 4, and you have a bigger tank. But because imagine if you had 2 at the front and 2 at the back.
Well, yeah, so basically yours would be closer together than closer together.
Yes. Yep.
So why don't you just get one XR50 and slap it in the middle and spread them out a bit more? We're probably
Yeah,
about the same.
it probably.
Just throwing it out there.
No, remember I had some XR15s that I bought from a guy who was shutting down his tank, and I kind of sold them off. I put one on the Nano. I sold one to Bubba Shinobi, and I sold another one to, I think, another reefer. So I was going to do that. And then, I kind of decided, hey, I would rather try the T5s than do that.
That's fair. I mean, if you mix the two, I mean, you'll get color pop plus fill light. So, I mean, it's for sure going to be good, right? Like, you can't argue that. Like, you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. Plus, it's new tech, man. I mean, I can give you how many excuses I want why it's going to be a good idea. But
you just want an excuse to buy something new.
I'm a tech junkie, so it's a chance to try something that I've never tried before. So I am excited.
Yep.
I've always hated. I've never thought of a hybrid fixture until I saw BRS did it, because this hybrid fixture was just prohibitively expensive. Like a 48-inch ATI something is like almost $2,000.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like the T5 by itself. I think it looks too flat. I really don't like the T5. But then when BRS did the 160 build and he did the whole lighting series, I think that's when I started to kind of say, hey, I'll try it.
Yeah.
I have friends that have T5 only tanks, and I think the tanks look great. And maybe it's just every tank is different, but I think they get away with. I think the colonies are healthier, and they get away with more slack than I would get away with just LEDs. I think because the corals just get all the spectrum it needs. I'm not saying they let their tanks go to crap, but I think they just get away with a little bit. I think because the corals are healthier overall, they're getting better light. They just get away with being lax in a little bit, fewer areas than I would get away with.
So what do you think? Like, what do you think they're actually getting away with?
I would say just less water changes. I don't know. It could just be me sour grapes because pissed off. It really could be. But I just think that, or it could be. Listen, man, I think I'm jealous of that dude because he treats his tank a lot worse than I do, and his stuff still looks good.
So
I really gotta say, like, it may be a little bit of
stable than
jealousy
yours?
in me.
Because I honestly,
I gotta go, guys. Talk to you later.
All
see you
right.
later. But I think honestly, a lot of the coral health and everything is strictly stability. Like your parameters are stable, like everything's happy in your tank. It's like when I used to test and do a lot more reviewing of stuff, and my tank showed it. Like it wasn't as happy all the time. Yeah,
It could be that.
Try and spawn.
So what you're saying is because this tank is bad, but consistently bad, his corals are just used to it, so they're like, I don't give a crap, just grow.
Corals like stability.
I
If
hear
your
what you're
parameters, some people change their lighting, every month they'll try new schedules, new things. Your corals just adapt to it and you change it on them, so they never fully get used to it. Right?
Dave had oh, go ahead, finish up reading.
Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
I said Dave had an Aquascape question.
Oh, ask away.
He says he was thinking of doing some of this rock for the new build, and he linked to some rock on saltwater fish. It's Totoka Ultra Premium Live Rock. I've never even heard of this. What is Toyota?
Tonka?
No, it's Totoka.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the computer.
Oh yeah, I guess it's Fiji. When I search it up in Google, it says Tokota in English.
Okay.
All
right, back on the computer. Okay, so let me check out this rock.
Totoka means beautiful.
I like beautiful things. Ultra Premium Live Rock, 50 pounds. So it is live rock.
It's a Fiji word. It's a Fiji word.
Okay. Honestly, it probably looks like it's just regular good old live rock from the ocean. Just whatever their brand name is, Totoka.
Yeah, Totoka is Totoka Islands are part of Fiji, so
I mean, there is pros and cons to using live rock. Out of the ocean, it's going to be full of critters. I mean, some good, some bad. Sometimes you get tons of potentially good sponges. You can get all kinds of really cool hitchhikers, but you could also potentially get some bad things. I mean, it's risky either way. You're getting tons of diverse bacterias and other things that will, in a sense, almost instantly kind of help boost your tank's cycle. So it's.
I think I would do this if I had the budget for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I had a huge budget for a reef tank, I think live rock would be way down on the priority list. I think lighting and getting the biggest tank and the biggest skimmer I could would be, and probably a reliable return pump would be high on my list. But if all of those and I still had, I would try live rock. It would have to. I think I would try it and then aquascape it.
Yeah.
And have it just cured in the tank.
So I have a question. Have you bought a UPS for your tank yet?
No.
You should.
But I contacted Ecotech, and they had me sending the stuff to them, so they're going to investigate.
Okay. I think that you have questionable power and that you should invest in a cheap computer UPS to level out the spikes.
I'm going to wait for... Yeah, you're probably right.
Because you've had so many different equipment issues with like power supplies, and I highly think that's to do with your power, like spikes and that type of stuff.
Oh, dude. My new return pump that's 2 months old is freaking acting up already.
Yeah, because
so in fact, I bought a new power supply that's coming to power. So I'm going to actually put the Vectra back on the tank.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ecotech is going to investigate and send me a new power supply. So at least I'll have a backup power supply. But the Varios 8, you're not hearing a hum. Oh, that's why I'm using headphones today. Usually I'm never use headphones. I recorded a video last night. And when I was fishing, talking and recording the video, and I was playing it back before I uploaded it to YouTube, it was there's a hum in the background. The Varios 8 that's 2 months old is already crapping out.
So pretty much all equipment on your tank is having issues. Buy UPS. Just do it. Trust me. I've had one on all my tanks. I've never had a single equipment failure. It's worth it. Trust me. All the fancy stuff you buy, Go buy a cheap APC UPS, and it's just going to level all those spikes and issues. How's it going,
What do you
Alex?
think, Alex? What do you think, Alex?
Do it.
A UPS. Do you think I should get a UPS?
Yes.
Well, it can't hurt. I mean, I'd be more interested to know, though, because if you're burning out pumps and stuff, then that means all your major appliances in your house and anything that's got a motor in it is going to suffer the same thing. So I'd be more interested to know, is it something that has to do with those particular circuits in your house? Or if it's something affecting your whole power system? I mean, a UPS can't hurt, but I'd be kind of interested too, though. You know, how much are you drawing on that circuit? You know, it should stay stable no matter what, but
I have I know during the summer I got an alert on my Apex. They said O's neighbor. So the tank is on the outlet that's meant for the I think all the other outlets in my apartment are 15, and that's a 20 amp one. That's the one that's made for the AC.
Does it share with your AC or your microwave or anything else?
No. It's a single plug that's made for an AC. That's the only thing that's on it.
Every time someone microwaves something, a pump dies.
That's the only thing that's on it.
Okay.
But you guys have me thinking now, because you know what else I go through? Like a mother power supplies for my laptops. I go through power supplies for my laptops.
For your laptops and your tank's equipment. Seriously, spend $100, buy a UPC. It's gonna level out your power. The batteries will fill in the drops, and it's gonna tone out all the power spikes.
it might burn out the rectifier in it, but
the what?
I have one on my computer. I have one on my fish tank, and I have one on like my router and NAS and everything. All the like important stuff has one.
I've never burned out speakers and stuff like that.
That's because they're not sensitive. They don't have all the little bits like a power brick does.
yeah, generally you're gonna if it's some kind of power supply or electric motors, sometimes are pretty susceptible to it.
So,
like I said, the only thing that APC could lose is the rectifier it uses on the batteries,
and they're pretty tough. I mean, they're built to handle power spikes and brownouts and all that jazz. So I don't know. Honestly, I think you should invest in one.
I feel like every time I come on a stream, I end up spending money on something.
This is a good investment, though. This will save you money.
I was gonna say I would be a vote for the Live Rock as well. Not, you don't have to fill your tank with it, but I bought some and put it in the refuge tank, so that it kind of contains any nasties that come in that you don't want, like gorilla crabs.
All right, Dave. Dave, I'm gonna call you. So Dave is some of them even on the AC readout. I feel like Dave knows more about this electric stuff than I do.
Yeah, you'd almost have to you'd have to put some kind of monitor on it to see how it's fluctuating throughout the day, if it actually is.
Well, actually, your Apex has power monitoring. Does it go look at the voltage spikes and stuff? Christopher Williams tagged me in a photo on Facebook. Did you do it in the ReefDudes group, or where'd you do that? Interested to hear if you see much about scaping and control water flow in areas of your tank. We didn't talk about as much as we should have on water flow. So on that note, something that you should take in consideration is where you're going to be putting your power heads and ensuring that your flow can go around your rock. Because if you have a big wall of rock and you're blocking all your flow, if corals are on it, it's going to be blasted. And second of all, that can be preventing flow from making it to the far end of your tank. So one thing that I always try and do when I'm doing escape is I try and make sure there's, like 4 or 5 inches from the walls all around it. So you got that perimeter. So if you have your pumps on the side of the tank, you can go shoot past the rock. Or, if you have a gyre at the top, make sure it's high enough that you can go over top of everything.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's definitely important. Christopher, I'm just trying to find whatever photo you're referring to. Facebook or Instagram? I'm looking on Facebook now. I don't see any notifications, depending where you put it. But post it in the ReefDudes group if whatever photo you want me to bring up. Oh, you typed out ReefDudes. Okay, let me go check that page. I don't think I have the same notifications for the pages, but let me take a quick peek. Some skates laid on the back. Yeah, so a lot of people, like, I know the old school way was generally have your wall of rock. Kind of the back wall was just like one big thing. And I know that can be more of an issue for water flow, for sure. And that, if you ever want to clean the glass, then I mean, that's a whole other issue. So ideally try and have your rock not touching the glass and make sure you have a gap all the way around. Especially want to make sure you get your algae cleaner in there. Ah, there we go. Okay. Oh, you actually had the floating one. That's interesting. Okay. Check this one out.
What you got?
They literally hung the rock in the tank.
Oh, is that one of the?
Hang on a second, Alex. Before you go, I saw someone that says they picked up a blue tank for his 10-gallon. I didn't. I don't think I saw it. What? Picked up a blue tank for my 10-gallon.
Yes,
going crazy around the
way
class
too small.
with my three clowns and a tang and a 10-gallon, I think that's someone's troll.
Yeah, it seems like
I
trouble.
think someone's trolling us.
Yeah, that's way too small of a tank. Unless they're like a baby and they're going to a bigger tank in a few months, that's very questionable. One quick question on that Rockscape. It looks like they have eye hooks or something in there, which are metal, and I would not trust in salt water. But that looks pretty crazy. But yeah, I wouldn't, if that is metal, I definitely would not trust that, but I don't know what it is for sure. That would be sketchy though, like trusting whatever's above it.
I think I've seen that before. They call that like the reverse aquarium or something. I've heard people talking about it before. I haven't seen one before.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of doing it, eh?
Yeah, like you said, as long as whatever's holding up your scape and stuff doesn't fall down.
Exactly. Smash the bottom. I don't know. It looks risky to me.
Well, I'd just be more concerned with, I guess, if it was a really like wide square and you only had that in the center or something, I'd just be worried about maintenance and everything. And I guess it'd be kind of a cool non-photosynthetic tank, I guess. Unless you're going to do like bottom lighting or side lighting or something.
I mean, you can still mount stuff on the top of the rock
where
where the light is. Although, I mean, in theory, you could light a tank from the bottom and do some kind of weird thing. You probably get some really weird growth patterns, but could be an interesting way to do it. Always interested to see random things like that.
So I got something cool that I'm still trying to.
Do tell. Did you ever finish your needle wheel pump you're making, the impeller?
Oh, I actually got them right here.
Oh, perfect timing.
I'm actually in the middle of filming part 3.
Excellent.
So it's not going to be this week's video because I want to just do a tank update this week because I've done a couple DIYs in a row. But no, I got 2 of my needle wheels here.
Very nice.
With all those lovely holes and needles put in.
Nice. That's a lot of work. Nicely done.
Thank you.
I'm curious to see how that turns out.
Well, I know that one works, so I'm actually just starting to slide the pins into a standard one right now.
Nice. So your other one, you had a top plate on it. Are you doing this on both of them?
So I made 2 with top plates because the one that's running right now has the top plate. And then I'm making 2 standard ones. And I would have made a standard in the top plate one initially, but I ran out of acrylic rod to finish my standard one.
Yeah.
So I just went with the top plate one, and thing works pretty good. I'm going to experiment with different kinds of venturis on this one too, if I can.
Nice. That should be good. I haven't done it yet, but I've still been thinking about trying to 3D print some random ones and see what happens.
Well, to be honest, if I had a 3D printer, it would probably be a good way to do it. I have seen some really cool patterns because that's kind of what inspired the double one. Because that one they had, I saw a 3D printed one where it was basically like a honeycomb of really thin plastic and basically a big drum. And I said, well, that's about as close as I can get to it is to do 16th inch needles and 1/8 inch and put them in real compact.
Nice. Yeah, be good. You never know until you try, right?
Yeah, that's a fun little project. Keeps me out of trouble.
No, exactly. I love it.
I did get to witness something in my aquarium that I've never seen
What's that?
in an aquarium before outside of a public aquarium or the wild. I've been able to watch bioluminescence in my tank.
Oh, very cool. What was actually glowing?
I don't know for sure because it's hard to identify, but it's looking like it's probably different types of copepods, amphipods.
Very cool. You should try and get a video of that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's. I think I'm gonna have to make another camera purchase to do that because even a 30-second exposure on my camera, my DSLR, with ISO 100, f-stop at 3.5. The only thing I pick up is dead pixels on the camera.
Yeah, you'll have to crank the ISO to get any hope probably with that.
Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna have to go to some kind of lower light camera technology because it's even the bright flashes that randomly occur. They're very fast, but the camera's just not picking them up on video, and I haven't been random enough to pick one up on a long exposure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff though that's just glowing.
Oh, that's pretty cool though.
It's extremely faint though. I'm probably gonna do some kind of article for Reef to Reef to it or something.
Huh, nice. That'd be awesome. JCS Reefing is saying, what camera? I'm guessing they're asking what camera you have now.
I got an EOS Rebel T5i Canon.
Nice. But yeah, the only thing I'd say is maybe try cranking up the ISO and maybe we'll catch more light, but it might be grainy.
Yeah,
might get something.
Yeah, as soon as I start turning it up, it just started getting real grainy. I stopped at 800 and I said, nah, we're just gonna try alternate things here eventually. I'll figure out a way.
Oh, very cool.
It was just really cool to observe because I've never seen it before in an aquarium outside of a public one.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's really neat. I need to get some glowing from my tank. No, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. You somehow acquired that in there. On those floating rocks, Chris was saying you're talking to the guy and they're steel pins, but he's going to be making them out of acrylic. Okay, that's good. I wouldn't trust steel in my tank. Yeah, so thanks for that, Chris. So I am probably going to have to shut her down pretty quick here because I do got to run right away. Just any other questions in the chat or anything that you guys wanted to know while we're still on? Alex, I'm going to be looking forward to your update video on all those experimental impellers.
Couple weeks. Then I'll have a special video coming out right before Halloween.
Ooh, nice.
I've been working on.
Excellent. So. Excellent. I have to, I don't know. I debate what to do my next week's video on. Any special requests? There's a few on my list that I want to do, but I'm just trying to think what to do for my next one.
Just so hard to think of topics on the fly.
Yeah. I'm not going to... Thanks, Woody. I'm not going to lie. Half my topics I think of like the day before. I'm like, all right, tomorrow I'm filming a video on this.
Yeah, that's okay. I do the same thing sometimes on a DIY project. It's not always easy to come up with a good topic.
Think of some videos on Friday or Saturday. Sunday's my day off, so I usually shoot a video on Sunday, and Monday I post it. But I still have to fully par test the new lights, so I'm probably might be this week, if not in the next couple weeks, but I want to fully par test the Gen 4 Radions and kind of compare it to all my par testing of the Gen 3s.
I take it all your corals are responding well to the Gen 4s?
Oh yeah, they're loving it. I do like the new lights. My few bits of spot testing I've done so far, the par right under the pucks are not as hot, so it's much more, it's a lower par directly, but there's higher in the sand bed, higher in other areas. So they really took like the hot spotty and more flattened it out everywhere, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, the spread is a lot better with the Gen 4s, definitely.
Yeah, but just because the reflection off the glass, like I'm getting lower. My Anemone, which was getting like 500, is getting closer to, I think it was closer to 4 now. So it's like 100 par less at the top there, but it was like 30, 40 par higher on the sand bed in certain areas. So it's kind of crazy how it does it. But yeah, I don't know. So far, I'm really happy with them.
Good.
Yep. So far, so good.
Yeah, I think that's the route I'm going to go for my tank.
Yeah.
So
Gen 4.
You'll be happy.
Yeah,
well,
you heard what I think. I don't know if it'll apply to you, but I think getting the 15s and being more flexible with the spacing. But I don't know, you might not want to deal with
how deep is your tank, Alex?
Power plugs.
I think it honestly. Sorry.
Top dimensions of the 480 are 4 feet wide, 8 feet long, with the Euro brace. Considering the opening is, subtract 10 inches from each side. So it's 5
deep,
inches
though, from sand bed to water line?
Oh, it's like 22 to 24 inches.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, you could totally do XR15s for that. Yeah, 2 feet and less. I'd say almost up to 30 inches. I would say XR15s over 30s, because 30s with the double pucks, you get a little smidge more spread, but for the most part, it's more penetrating power, right? But your 15s can do 2 feet down, no problem. And then same thing, you get 2 of those, instead of them being right there, you can spread them out, and you'll get better light coverage.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to think right now, because I think if I go with 30s, I'll do 4 of them and just put them in a single row across the tank. And then that's where it kind of gets into the 15 versus 30. The only other thing I got to consider, though, is if I did 15s, I'd have to get 8 of them.
Yep.
And I only have 12 outlets above the tank.
I think 30s turn back to front and putting 4 of them across the tank might be in your installation. The tank is 2 feet. I think that might be.
And that's kind of the way I've been thinking, is to do 4 and then do them long ways front to back on the tank. And then that should give me more than enough to start with. And if I need to add supplemental later, I could either do T5 or I could do more radions or something to give some supplemental on the sides.
Yeah, if it was me, I would probably do XR15s down the middle. And if you needed to fill, do a singles T5 strip on either side.
Actually, that's a good idea.
That's what I would do.
5 XR15s down the middle, pack them together pretty close, and then put the T5s, T5, 1 or 2 T5s at the back and front, fill in the shadows and supplement the lighting.
If I had a canopy, that's probably what I would do.
Well, I got from the top of the tank to the ceiling, so I got like
lots of
2 feet to the light rack.
Yeah.
So
lots of space to play.
Mounting height's not a problem.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, guys. I got to run. I got to go pick up the lady. I'm supposed to be going up for wings pretty darn quick. So I want to thank everybody for hopping on today.
Thanks for hosting.
No problem. All right, guys. Have an excellent Wednesday evening.
All right. You too. Okay. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.